Right. You guys knew I couldn't stay away for long. I love this game so much. But now we're on to episode 5, The Hound of the Baskervilles. Which makes it sound like the Baskervilles are like a people? Ah.
It's coming! Sholmes's cry pierced through the thick wall of fog around us. Wisps of vapor flowed over the pistol as I cocked it, and I waited, breathlessly, in the stillness. The silence lasted for what seemed an eternity, until, at last, it appeared. From the shadows of the cloud, an enormous beast sprang out upon us. A hound it was, but not such a hound as any mortal has ever seen. Its eyes glowed with a smoldering glare. The whole of its ox-sized body was outlined in white-hot flames. Its rumbling pant and hideous howl, so terrified was I that I began to tremble with fear. "Look well, Wilson," Sholmes declared, gazing upon the mystical beast. "For this is the diabolical hound of the Baskervilles."
Our first 2 months in London passed by in a flash. In that disconcerting courtroom experience we were first thrown into on the day we arrived in the country, and in Soseki-san's terrible ordeal that had followed closely behind, we had emerged victorious. However, there then came an abrupt end to our opportunities to appear in court, which was hardly surprising, of course, since I was nothing more than an amateur, an unknown student of law from a faraway land. So life in our little office was very quiet. That is, until it was shattered one day by that fateful telegram. The 15th of April. Last time we were with them, I think it was in February. So 9:13 a.m., Naruhodo's legal consultancy. Alright, looking somewhat official. That morning, I was woken by the unreserved knocking on the door by the telegram boy. But after he'd gone, Susato-san's behavior became very obviously strange. Susato-san? Yes. Is it time to leave for court already? Let me see. What case is it today? I don't think I'm scheduled to defend anyone at the moment, am I? No, of course not. How silly of me. But I think Iris said that she would make us breakfast this morning. So, shall we go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite? Yes. Iris makes the most delicious breakfast food. She does, doesn't she? And once our bellies are full, we can leave for court in fighting fit form. Let me see. What case is it today? Here we go again. Oh, Susato-san. You are just so amazing. So, what was it about? The telegram that was delivered this morning, I mean. Oh, a telegram? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, sure. Sorry, but you're not going to get away with that. Well, I didn't think I would. Actually, don't give it a moment's thought. It's nothing. Nothing interesting. Boring, in fact. Susato must be very tired. You're yawning so much. It was just a boring old telegram. That's 3 times now that she's tried and failed to convince me it was nothing. Well, she's obviously trying to protect you from something. I just don't know what it is. I promise that I'll tell you about it at some point. Alright, I understand. I suppose Soseki-san will have arrived back in Japan by now, won't he? Yes, I should think so. He left immediately after that terrible ordeal. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty awful. Which would mean he should have completed the voyage already, or be just a few days anyway. A fortnight ago, we had a very long telegram from him, do you remember? Complaining of seasickness. But by and large, it seems the voyage has been going well. Good for him. Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? I was just wondering, what might have become of Soseki-san had he stayed in London, that's all. You mean, as regards Lord Van Zeeks, the Reaper? Yes, I can't help wondering if seasickness would have paled into insignificance in that case. Maybe so. What is it they say? That no one who stands in the dock could be saved from the Reaper, right? Yeah, Mr. McGilded saw to that. Oh my god. Like the way that nightmarish trial ended on the very day we arrived in London. Even 2 months on, the cause of that dreadful fire is still a mystery. Yes, but at least Soseki-san is safely out of the country now. Presumably that means that the curse of the Reaper could only take effect within the confines of the city of London, perhaps? Even if that's the case, it's little comfort. I have a terrible sense of foreboding. If the legend of the Reaper is to be believed, it would mean he wields the sword of justice himself. Come to think of it, I wonder what he's been up to these past 2 months. Surely not wielding that sword against more acquitted defendants. No, I don't think so. Apparently, Lord Van Zieks hasn't appeared in court once since our last encounter. It's almost like he's appearing specifically because there's a Japanese foreign exchange student. Right? But why would he care? I don't know why he would care. Oh? Yes, since Soseki-san's trial, he's withdrawn from judicial service again, it seems. Really? Just like before, when he wasn't seen in court at all for several years. So, it's just been me who's had to face him in recent spate of trials then? Ugh, just my luck. I wonder if luck doesn't come into it. Sorry? What was that? Yeah, nothing. Never mind. Alright, well, let's go to Mr. Sholmes' suite. So we can eat breakfast. Is it a continental? I might like that. Morning, Runo. Morning, Susie. Good morning, Iris. Why is there like crappy violin happening? Iris. What is it, Runo? What is that terrible noise? It sounds like a cat being strangled. Ah, yes. You noticed that, did you? Oh, God. Hurley isn't in the best form this morning, it seems. Hello. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Good morning. A good morning to die, perhaps. Wow. This is just like my sister when she gets up every day. Has something happened, Mr. Sholmes? You look miserable, and the way you were playing the violin before... My analytical mind is dead. Music is dead. The world is dead. Damn this blanched existence. That's all it is, my dear fellow. Nothing of consequence. Wow. I'm afraid I don't understand. Well, Iris, isn't it time we ate? Some dry toast and insipid coffee for me, if it's, not too much trouble. Cat! Hello, good sir or ma'am. You're amazing. Oh look, it's Wagahai. Good morning, boy. Well, this is the best game I've ever played. I don't think there is a better one. That must be some sort of tiny door for cats to use. But how did it get here? Well then, everyone, time for breakfast. Oh, wonderful. Let me help you, Iris. It would indeed be a fine day to die. I knew something looked different. Oh, the desk is empty. Okay. Yeah, something's missing from Mr. Sholmes' desk. Do I need to examine that? What the heck is going on here? Look at Mr. Sholmes' desk. It's completely clear. Isn't that enormous machine usually on it? We can never hope to understand what goes on in the great detective's mind, Mr. Naruhodo. Why, next time we're invited, we may find he's vacated the entire suite. That's scarily plausible, actually. Yeah, he's a little weird about these things. Oh, and then that's Iris's side. Okay. I didn't actually look at this last time I was here. What up, Iris? Mr. Natsume's cat seems to have settled into his new home, then. Oh, yes! And I've become very attached to little Waggy. It would appear his previous owner has completely forgotten him. Completely forgotten to him. Cats are unfeeling creatures. Their mews as empty as the hearts of the muses. Oh my god, look, this is a cat. If Mr. Natsume had no intention of taking Waggy back to Japan, I wonder why he kept him in the first place. I expect he would have taken him if he could, but pets are strictly forbidden aboard steamships in our experience. And for good reason. Terrible things can happen if the rules of passage are not obeyed. Well, that is what happened, yeah. Well, I don't mind, because Waggy's adorable. Hello, you cute little piece of poop. Yes, he really is. Oh, yes, what about the door? I don't remember seeing that tiny thing in the main door before. Where did that come from? Oh, you noticed? You are observant, Runo. Look, I use this. It's my latest invention. What is that? I call it the cat flap-a-bat. Gosh, a machine for making doors just for cats? That's right. It can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. And it can do it in any door at all, no matter what it's made of. It's very powerful, you see. Wouldn't it have been quicker just to make the cat flap rather than making a machine to make the cat flap? Well, yes, maybe, but now I can make cat flaps anywhere I like. Oh, I think it's wonderful. You must make one for us in the door of our office upstairs, Iris. She really knows how to come up with unconventional inventions, this girl. And good for her. Creativity is really good around here. Okay, Mr. Sholmes, let's... The topic, wanting to die. You seem to be very unhappy this morning, Mr. Sholmes. What happened? It used to be the case that, in my hands, this violin sung like the dawn chorus. Its melatonin tones would make flowers bloom. It would? But now, the muses are unamused with me. The goddesses of music have thrown me over. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? For hours I have bowed, for days even. Through the night I have endeavored to no avail. That sound, my tone, is lost. That brilliant, clear, unwavering tone. Gone forever. No more recitals of unbridled emotion. Well, you haven't been practicing much lately, have you, Hurley? Yeah, actually, I guess I should probably get back to practicing piano. Lest I end up like Mr. Sholmes. Ugh. Don't worry, I'm sure it'll come back to you in time. Heed my words, Mr. Naruto. The goddesses of the arts are fickle. One day they bestow genius on a man. The next, they unmercifully withdraw it. Oh, dear. Ah! Why is this happening to me? If they take the turn I have for the violin from me, what is left, for pity's sake? What is left? Oh, aren't you supposed to be a detective? Yeah, deduction, perhaps? Isn't that what you're known for? Mr. Sholmes, I don't like to pry, but... your desk looks rather empty today. Ah, well done, Mr. Sato. Your observational skills do you credit. Oh no, Mr. Sholmes, they pale into insignificance when compared to yours. You'd struggle not to notice, wouldn't you? You mean Hurley's great analyticoscope? Analytoscope? Yeah. Great analytoscope? That's at Windybanks now. Sorry? Is that a Windy Bank? No, Windybanks, the pawnbrokery. Pawn? What? You mean you've pawned that enormous machine of yours? It has some considerable value, you see. Quite undeservingly. But isn't it a very important machine for your work? I do wish you had consulted us if your situation had become so desperate. I should have gladly passed what little income I have on to you. Dear madam, things are far from desperate. But the pawnbroker has your wonderful machine. How can it be anything but desperate? Making use of a pawnbrokery is quite ordinary here in London, I assure you. It is? It doesn't sound ordinary at all. It would seem that neither of you fully understand how pawnbroking works. Oh, what's to understand exactly? Yeah, I thought you just like sell your stuff, you know? But tell me how it works, Mr. Holmes. Is it like bartering? Can you only trade items for items? What do you mean when you said we didn't understand how pawnbroking works? To the people of London, pawnbrokeries are akin to banks. Really? Banks? On Mondays, merchants relinquish their finest jackets and trappings to their pawnbroker of choice. With the money they receive in return, they are able to trade happily through the week. And then on Saturdays, they go to recover their things using the money they earned. What? That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense. I had no idea. This has been a fascinating lesson for us. Everyone does it, you see. Especially people in inner London. And should they have money to spare, they would purchase another fine jacket. Not to wear, obviously, but to pawn, should the need arise. Oh, how ingenious. Yeah, let me just tell you again. That doesn't make any sense. I do not understand that system. So, whenever we have something that's getting in the way, we leave it at Windibanks, you see. A pawnbrokery can be thought of as an extremely secure vault. Who would have thought that even pawnbrokers are different here in Great Britain? Of course, you have to watch Hurley with it. Sometimes he pawns things he really shouldn't. Don't you, Hurley? What does it matter? The world is dead to me now. It's fine. Waggy! Oh, what was that? Wagahai? What are you up to? What was that? Oh no! Wagahai's tangled up in your violin! I think he thinks it's a toy. No! What's he doing to it? Oh dear, Mr. Shom's precious violin. Why should I care? What? I shouldn't be surprised. If the cat is a more accomplished musician than I am. Yes, the cat does make beautiful music, doesn't he? Mr. Sholmes really is in poor spirits, isn't he? Well, anyway, I'll put it back where it lives, shall I, Hurley? Out of the cat's reach, if possible. Maybe we should assess the damage. Okay, do I need to oh no, we need to assess the damage of the violin. That's what they want me to do. Understood. Oh, there it is. So this is the violin, is it? It's a Stradivarius. One of the finest violins in the world, made by the renowned Italian luthier Antonio Stradivari. Oh, I see. It doesn't really look like anything special to me. I happened upon it, covered in dust, languishing in a pawn shop down a nondescript back alley. The broker had no idea of its value, so I was able to purchase it for a mere 55 shillings. How honorable of you. And until today, it has been my faithful companion in every great Paganini-inspired performance I've made. I ask you, is there reason to live in a world devoid of music? To tolerate this blanched existence? No! There is none! I mean, I do love music, but would I go that far? I don't know. Mr. Sholmes. What, dear madam, what? My thoughts are preoccupied with fancies of a release from this dull routine. Well, it's about the violin. It looks very different to normal, don't you think? What do you mean, Mr. Sato? Oh, Susie's right! Yes, the tone of the wood is completely different. And that's not all. I'm sure there was no crack here before. Wait, it's not even the right size, is it? What's this? Has the violin been cat-burgled? I'm terribly sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Sholmes, but that instrument isn't a violin at all. Then what? Is it a viola? I believe it's an entirely different instrument called a viola. Yeah, there we... What can I say? I'm just so learned when it comes to musicians. What? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, are you all right? You're right. You are quite right. This isn't my faithful Stradivarius. So what, pray, is this piece of stringed flotsam? Not your faithful performing partner, then. Ah, I see what must have happened. You do, Iris? This is just a simple mix-up. It sounds like Iris might be able to tell us exactly what happened if we ask her. So, let's ask her. Sounds like we probably should have just gone right into that, but, you know, screw it. Tell me, Iris. What do you mean by a mix-up, Iris? Well, you see, this violin, sorry, this viola, I mean, was at Windibank's until last week. At the pawnbroker's? Not Mr. Sholmes' beloved musical partner? There's a proverb from the East with which you are no doubt familiar, my dear fellows. Always let a beloved child travel. If you love it, let it go. Is that the same thing? I feel like that's the same thing. Yes, indeed. So you sent your beloved violin to the pawnbrokers in the hope that it would experience personal growth? Oh, what a wonderful idea. Last week I pawned my great analytoscope in order to release my precious instrument, but it would appear Mr. Windibank mistakenly furnished me with this tawdry fiddle instead. But my ears cannot be deceived by the hollow timbre of this piece of timber. Also, I know that word is timbre, even though it looks like it's not. No, but your every sense was deceived by the fact that it just had strings. Pshaw! A fine state of affairs this is, and why I always say, Mr. Naruhodo, never trust a pawnbroker. They will try to fiddle you every time. Yeah, I wouldn't use a pawnbroker for this. This just seems so stupid. But earlier you told us that you could think of a pawnbroker as an extremely secure vault. That he did. Come, Mr. Naruhodo, dilly-dallying will get you nowhere. Sorry? Crunching your toast with that vacant aspect, fressing your coffee so obtusely. Are you not a little embarrassed by your own conduct, considering the urgency with which you are faced? You must visit Mr. Windibank's brokery at once. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Sholmes? Precisely, Miss Usato, without a moment's delay. But I haven't finished my bacon and eggs. Dude, I could go for some bacon and eggs. My dear fellow, surely you do not still intend to crunch your bacon with an increasingly vacant aspect, to fress your egg even more obtusely? All right, say no more. Let's go then. Don't worry, Bruno. I'll be happy to heat it up for you again later. Oh, thank you, Iris. As it happens, I am rather curious to see what a British pawnbroker's looks like. I am too. Let's get right to it. Oh, I can just go to Baker Street too. I wouldn't have any reason to. Let me guess. If I try to go to the pawnbrokery, it's gonna actually just make me go to Baker Street, right? Let's see what happens. Oh no, I'm in the pawnbrokery. Great. Is there anything cool here? Well, there's the thinking statue, or like a version of it. An imitation. Yeah, this looks like a bunch of random crap that I don't care about. So this is a British pawnbrokery. Oh my! There are all sorts of tools and contraptions in here that I've never laid eyes on before. Ah, Susato-san, and that spark of wonder in your eyes. You can't wait to scour the shelves, can you? I get the impression you enjoy places like this? Oh yes. I don't know why, but seeing such a lot of things I don't understand is a real thrill for me. Actually, maybe I should go to a pawn shop of some sort. The only pawn shop that I knew of was back in my hometown, but I never went there. I just passed by every time. Now I wish I had. My dear fellows, let us not forget why we're here. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. We are calling on matters of business, not pleasure. And clearly Mr. Sholmes means business too, judging by the spark of fury in his eyes. Mr. Sholmes, sir. Welcome back. Did you hear that brazen welcome? Well, yes, we are potential customers after all. We are disgruntled customers, Mr. Naruhodo, and it's time to inform Mr. Windibank of our ire. Come, the fight is afoot, instead of the game being afoot, but so be it. Naturally, you'll recall this, which I retrieved from you some days ago. Yes. The second-rate fiddle is not my faithful instrument, Mr. Winterbank. The color of the wood is different. It has holes in it. It's not even the same size. A wonderful summary of our observations, Mr. Sholmes. I'm so very sorry, sir. How utterly unforgivable of me. Inexcusable mistake for a pawnbroker. There's only one way to make amends. Oh. Oh, wait, whoa. Oh, my God. Oh, my God! I shall have to take my own life. Is... I don't think that would be necessary, do you? This is heavy. If I may just say one thing before I pop off. Yes? It was you, sir, Mr. Sholmes, who took it upon himself to remove the item the other day, I believe. Sorry? As I recall, I entered the storeroom to fetch a violin when I heard, here it is. You did? And when I turned to controvert you, you had taken the viola and left, sir. However, there can be no doubt that the blame lies firmly at my own door for allowing you to leave. So I shall not grumble or grouse any longer. May this guilt die with me. No. Stop, my dear fellow. The fault is mine. Jesus Christ. What? But it would appear that the fight is over. I do humbly apologize, Mr. Winterbank. Evidently, my questionable disposition precipitated this tragedy. Well, you wouldn't be Mr. Sherlock Sholmes without that questionable disposition, now would you? I do believe you may be right, sir. It's either laugh or cry, I suppose. You are, it must be said, one of my more challenging customers. I need to remind you of the peculiar collection of items you've brought through my door in the past. Oh, peculiar items? In the extreme, ma'am, for example, the unpublished manuscript of an eponymous work. Eponymous? I'm going to assume that's how you say that. The novels of Sherlock Sholmes are such. Sherlock Sholmes. Oh my, a new full-fledged novel? And unpublished? A story I have yet to read, you mean? Forgive me! Wait, before you die, you must tell me more. Wait, you're totally fine with him dying? What? Susato, wow, you're really, like, uncaring. I must know more. Tell me everything. Wow, Susato-san is really fired up now. Is there really an unpublished story under this very roof? Well, one day the gentleman here brought in an old metal chest, you see. I should like to entrust to your care for a while, Mr. Winterbank. For a chest like that, 1 shilling, sir, not a farthing more. It houses something of very great value indeed. The latest manuscript, recounting the adventures of one Mr. Sherlock Sholmes. I beg your pardon? A manuscript? You wish to deposit a manuscript? Indeed I do, for I am confident it will be quite safe here. There's not really any greater security in here than in a normal building, right? And that was that. As such, Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom. Mr. Sholmes, is that really true? Do I sense that someone doesn't want to talk about this? I continue to pay your fee, do I not? Then kindly continue to store my belongings securely. Of course, sir, of course. The safe and sound with me, I assure you, on my life. So this is all very strange. Just stop pointing that gun at your head. I wonder, could I ask you something? A gentleman from the East, I see. Yes, that sable suit. I suppose I could offer you 6 pence for it. Without wishing to offend, the tone is somewhat dull. Sorry? Aha, but for your splendid attire, ma'am, 5 guineas, no less. The colors are exquisite, that design exotic, Eastern artistry at its finest, I must say. Oh my, 5 guineas, you say? How interesting. Why do I feel as though I've suffered some sort of defeat here? Actually, I was hoping to ask about your business. I've heard it said that pawnbrokeries are used rather like banks here in London. Yes, sir, indeed. Many of my customers utilize the establishment as you describe. I appraise their items and offer them a proportionate loan and 2 months of secure stowage. If, in that time, they repay the original sum to me plus the agreed interest, their items are happily returned. That is the dumbest... That's so... But what happens if they don't pay you the money? Then the items are offered for sale in my shop, as you can see on the shelves behind me. Yeah, that is a lot of items. So, you never sell items before the 2 months has passed then? That's right, ma'am, that's right. Which means some considerable responsibility rests on my shoulders. Should a customer's precious belongings be lost, the only recompense is for me to end it all. Wow, with how serious you are about this, I'm surprised you're still alive, honestly. The very idea, Mr. Winterbank, is an absurdity. One should never talk of one's demise so casually. Says the man who was telling us all it was a good day to die only this morning. And let us not forget that I have already helped you take measures to ensure such a tragedy never occurs. Oh, what sort of measures? I engineered a simple device, which Mr. Winterbank has installed here in his shop. I call it the Red-Handed Recorder. Is that not so, Mr. Winterbank? Huh. What was that deep sigh about? Alright, let's talk about it. What on earth is a red-handed recorder? Use your eyes, my dear fellow. There are two just below the ceiling. What? Oh, cameras. Okay. I can see what appears to be a camera attached to some sort of timing device. Very astute. It is indeed a camera, furnished with some 100 pieces of celluloid film. And every 30 minutes precisely, the camera automatically records the appearance of the shop. Here, I have a sample I can show you. That doesn't seem that useful. Ah, yes. A print from the camera set to record the activity of the shop counter. I developed a special film so sensitive, it produces a crystal clear image even in darkness. Really? That's extraordinary. Yes, you can clearly see the counter and the door behind it. Look. Okay, so we're definitely going to be involved with some sort of mystery here at this shop. So you see, were someone to enter the premise with ill intent, his identity would be summarily exposed. Only if it was on the 30-minute mark. But did you not say that the photographic prints were taken at every 30 minutes? Indeed, as you say, my dear madam. Then, what if the incident were to occur in between times? One could only say, that would be a cruel twist of fate. Not really that cruel, and in fact, pretty likely, I would imagine. I must confess, your devices have given me some cause for distress of late. I beg your pardon, Mr. Winterbank. Surely they are anything but distressing. Reassuring is the word. It's the cost of the film, sir. You most graciously placed not one, but 2 cameras in my shop after all, which means I must pay for nigh on 100 utterly useless prints every single day. Well, it would only be 48, right? Because 24 hours in a day, and every half hour. I'm afraid the cost of the film will break me before I'm very much older, sir. Oh no, 100 a day, yeah, because 96, got it. Nevertheless, a small price to pay to ensure the safety of my preferred pawnbroker, you know? My dear fellows, we verge on an age where safety and security come at a price. Oh, heaven help us. Now then, Mr. Holmes, allow me to return your precious violin. Ah, the very thing. Thank you, Mr. Winterbank. Perhaps this might mark the end of the peculiar items you try to pop, because if anything were to happen to one of them, this would be the only answer. I really think you ought to stop waving that gun around. Someone could get hurt. Fear not. Sorry? I've only loaded a single bullet, so no one but myself could possibly be harmed. That's not really what I meant. Good day to you then, Mr. Winterbank. It's been a pleasure as always, Mr. Holmes. So, Mr. Naruhodo, now we can explore at last. Yeah, we can. Should we? Are we supposed to? There's a lot of things to look at. Okay. Now I already talked to him. Well, what is this thing, right? I've never seen this before in my life. Look at this! Look at this lovely, big, shiny box speed. That, my dear madam, is a music box. Surely you have such things in your own country. Oh my, yes, but I've certainly never seen one so large before. Shall we listen a while? Ah, what a sublime sound. It's like the music of angels. I've never heard anything like it before in my life. This particular specimen is of the larger variety, commonly found in public houses and restaurants. There is a metal disc inside on which the notes to be played are recorded. Simply by replacing the disc with another, any music you care to imagine can be played. My goodness, what a simply delightful machine. Indeed, though their popularity has waned recently with the development of the gramophone, of course. I do quite like the gramophone. Science and technology advance at such an overwhelming pace. I'll say. What is this thing? Oh, is that the analytoscope? No, it's not. Look at this. Whatever could it be used for? I have no idea. Ah. There's a small catch here, just look. We're going to open it, aren't we? Yeah, I mean, Susato-san's very curious, you know. Oh my, that's amazing. It has some sort of spring-loaded mechanism. Which we'll never manage to put back to the way it was before. What are you two doing? What? Us? Nothing. No, nothing at all. Whatever this device is, it seems to have a pair of little windows to look through. I feel as though I've seen something rather similar to this somewhere. I don't know what it is, but apparently that's all I get to think about it. Now, what do you suppose this rather enormous machine does? It seems to have two little windows for looking through. Oh, something like that, okay. Allow me to enlighten you, my dear fellows. What you're looking at is a stereoscope. Stereoscope? It's fascinating. It is aptly named, I assure you. Look through the eyepieces and see for yourself. Oh, I should be delighted to. Excuse me a moment while I have just a look. Just before you do, there's something I should point out. My dear fellows, in order to see the image properly, stereoscopically as it were, you will need to be cross-eyed. However, if that is beyond you, it is of little consequence today. Alright then, I'm going to try it. She's not looking quite in the windows, is she? Ah! Mr. Naruhodo, you must see! At once! Alright then. So, I just need to be cross-eyed, like I'm trying to look at my own nose. It's not too hard to do, right? You just do that. Hey, it's that maid from the first trial. What the? I don't believe it. It's just a photographic print, but it seems like you could reach out and touch it. Yes, the sense of depth is startling, is it not? Stereoscopes are one of London's many fads. They are often found in little stalls in the park. People queue for hours to see them. Why? Why are people meddling with such black magic? It is no magic, my dear madam. It is, well, far too complicated to explain at present. We shall save this lesson for another day. I'm thinking that would have actually been kind of cool if I were to be playing this on a real 3DS instead of a PC. But, you know, it's fine. Oh. Oh, that kind of looks familiar, doesn't it? What an assortment of things there are on these shelves here. Crockery, footwear, clocks and watches. Almost anything you care to imagine. Those are forfeited items offered for sale by the pawnbroker. What does that really mean, though? When you pawn, or colloquially pop, an item, the broker loans you money against its worth. He stores the item for an agreed period of time, after which the loan must be repaid. If not, he is free to display it in his shop for sale, at a price of his choosing. Oh yes, now you've explained it, I'm noticing little price tags on everything. Of course, simply by paying the agreed interest on the loan, one can extend the period of safekeeping. So you may pawn that black garb of yours without fear, my dear fellow. My treasured university uniform? Never! It embodies my student spirit! Which apparently is a good thing to keep. You know, pump it up, and all that. I don't think any of this actually matters for what I'm doing, right? Let's just leave and go to Baker Street, I guess. Apparently there's some stuff happening here. Or not? There's so many things to examine. Also, why would you have all your things outside? What if it were to rain? That'd be terrible. I don't know, I guess I'll look at the pawnbroker. Look at all the different things in the window of this shop. Ah, that's Windibank's, the pawnbrokery. Oh, yeah, I know, we were just there. It looks much smarter than a pawnbroker's in Japan, doesn't it? Yes, you're right. I find pawn shops at home rather inapproachable, personally. It reminds me of tearfully parting with my favorite fountain pen. I felt so miserable. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, Mr. Naruhodo. Unless, you know, they take away your arms and legs, and then what are you supposed to do? How are you stronger for that? You literally can't interact with the world by any means other than, like, your mouth. Ugh. Jeez Louise. Okay, let's continue examining, since that's what Susato wanted to do. There seems to be a little door hidden behind that curtain there. That leads to the storage room, where Mr. Windibank keeps articles that are currently in pawn. Ah, I see. There's nothing of particular interest inside. I certainly wouldn't recommend any larcenous activity. Recommend it or not, it's not something I tend to do. There is but one key, and Mr. Windibank keeps it in his pocket at all times. Before he sleeps, he places it into a small pot, which he slides under his pillow. How on earth do you know about that, Mr. Sholmes? I am a detective, sir. It's my business to know what others do not. I am frequently assailed by information that I neither care for nor wish to retain. Mr. Sholmes, you are a wonder, and the prime suspect of this pawnbrokery is ever burgled. What's this little sign all about? Oh, apparently this matters. Look at that enormous ledger open on the counter there. Mr. Windibank is, if nothing else, very particular about recording the items he accepts. He'd have to be, otherwise he'd get himself into all sorts of trouble. Which might explain the thing that catches my eye far more than the ledger. The gun. This... I mean, really, why have it? Do not entertain even a single thought of pilfering an article herein, my dear fellow. I assure you, Mr. Windibank would not hesitate to draw that weapon with a speed belying his portly size. Oh, you don't mean he'd... Blow his brains out? Indeed. In recompense for his blunder. I have a noose and I'm not afraid to kill myself! It's got that energy. Oh my. But in any case, of course we would never do such a thing. How could you even suggest it? I'm getting all this information about the pawnbroker, but what else am I supposed to do? Should I go back to the apartment on Baker Street and finish my breakfast? That's not a calendar you could easily miss, is it? 15th of April, today's date. Yes, that's not for sale, I must point out. It is an Eastern-style page-a-day calendar. Every night at midnight, I tear off the front page to reveal the following day's date. Every day at midnight, huh? The perfect calendar for a tearaway fellow such as yourself, Mr. Windibank. And who was it who walked out of here with the wrong violin before? Well, when the agreed storage period is passed without repayment, articles are forfeited, you see. So I have to keep a close eye on the date. It's something of a pawnbroker's obsession, you might say. Oh yes, I can see you're very dedicated to your job. What? Only tuppence for it? That ain't fair, and you know it. The article's barely worth a penny, miss. I cannot offer more. It's like is it? Wait. Sounds like there's an argument brewing over by the counter. Come on, that can't be right. Have you even had a proper butcher's at it? Oh, it's gonna be the urchin. I've seen all I need to see, young girl. Yep, there she is. Wait, don't we know? I'm sure I recognize her. Oh, yes, it's the young lady from Mr. McGilda's trial 2 months ago. Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. No, that's not. She's a chancer. Oh, how was I doing his voice before? Irish. Top the morning to you. She's a chancer. Earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. Well, a nice scarf. I don't know if you had that last time. Or is that an ascot? I don't really know the difference, to be completely honest.
Gordon Benny, you lot!
Hello, Miss Lestrade. I hope you've been well.
What? You remember me then, do you?
Well, I remember being completely surrounded by smoke, that's for sure.
So, what are you doing in here? Down and out like the rest of us? Nothing to eat? Come to pop that black weasel, sorry, coat, have you?
What is it about this black uniform that makes everyone comment on it? Oh, good day. Unless I'm much mistaken. You'd be the young pickpocket who stole our experimental smoke grenade launcher.
Ah, Mr. Sholmes.
So, you have something of value to pawn, do you? Allow me to see the article, and I shall negotiate with Mr. Winterbank on your behalf.
Pull the other one. I don't need no help from some stuck-up D. Get out of my business. Go on. I'll make trouble for you.
I think you already have. As you wish, Miss Lestrade. I will happily remove myself from your premise. Let me guess, I'm going to end up defending her in a burglary of the pawn shop. He's really done it. He's gone. I'm sorry, but as I said, there really is no room for negotiation here. What is that thing he has in his hand? Some kind of metal disc? Isn't that for a music box?
And you, go on. Leave me alone.
Oh, Miss Lestrade, just pretend we aren't here. We shan't be offended in the slightest. Why are you so mean? We haven't done anything to you. Susato-san can really stand her ground when she wants to. Yeah, have you seen her Susato takedown? It's terrifying.
Whatever.
Well, I'm gonna end up conversing with you anyway, so pretend like I'm here at least. Somehow, I didn't really think you were the sort of person who'd use a pawnbroker, Miss Lestrade.
Yeah, well, I am, alright. I'm a Londoner, just like everyone else. That's a problem, is it?
No, not at all. It's just that, well...
Oh, I get it. I know what you're thinking. That thing probably didn't even belong to her. Probably got it on the dive, didn't she? Yeah, I can see it written all over your Chevy Chase.
Well, I might have been thinking something along those lines.
You're not going to deny it, Mr. Naruhodo?
Alright then, I'm just going to come out and ask you straight. Did you pawn things, or do you pawn things, that you steal from other people?
Well, I don't know how best to answer that, really.
So yes?
Suppose, sometimes.
You're not going to deny it either, Miss Lestrade? I do love honest people.
But not this time, alright, I swear. That thing belongs to me.
The disc that Mr. Winterbank is holding, perhaps we should see what he has to say about all this. Alright, I know he's in the back there, so I'll just talk to him. Let's talk about the disc, am I right?
Mr. Winterbank, what exactly is this metal disc that Miss Lestrade has brought in? It seems to have hundreds of tiny little bumps on its surface.
Ah, this is a musical disc, you see, for use inside a music box. In a music box?
What, you don't even know what a music box is? You Eastern lot ain't too savvy, huh?
I know what a music box is. I've just never seen one of these discs before. The small protrusions on the metal disc encode the tune to be played by the music box. You simply insert the disc and set the machine going, and beautiful music plays.
It's so incredible. Tell us, what tune is on this disc?
Well, I'm afraid I couldn't tell you that. There's so many different types of music box, you see. British-made, German, Swiss. I have no way of knowing which particular machine this disc was made for. It really looks like it's for the one made in the back. Ah, I see. And that's it in a nutshell. I wouldn't have any customers for an item like this, even if the young lady forfeited it. Really, I'm already offering more than I should at a penny.
That's a packet of lies! He told me he did. He said it was, well...
He? Who?
Never you mind. It just ain't right, that's all. That disc's worth good money, I know it is.
Well then, you'll have to try your luck at another pawnbroker's, won't you?
Ah.
Do you know Gina very well? She's been in here before, of course, this little tatterdemalion. I see. I brought some dubious article or other with her every single time, I might add.
Dubious? What are you trying to say? I'm an honest creature, me.
So, is there something dubious about the disc she brought in today? Well, if only it were that simple. Sorry? What do you mean? What she actually brought in was a storage ticket.
Huh? Ah, a storage ticket. So, Miss Lestrade has actually come to redeem an article from you today, is that right? Yeah, that's right. A girl like me has a lot of stuff what needs storing.
Alright, yes, that's definitely dubious. The article in question would have been forfeited at midnight tonight, but as she gave me the ticket for it and repaid both the loan and the interest, I was obliged to return the article to her.
Okay, but what was the article? Do tell us, Mr. Winterbank.
The little scamp is wearing it, ma'am. It's the overcoat that she redeemed. Oh wow, it totally was lost on me that she had a new coat. Oh.
What? What's wrong with that? It fits, don't it? I mean, it's mine, so of course it does. So, what about the disc then? How does that come into all this?
The disc is something else. A new article to pawn if the girl and I can agree at price. Okay, sure. I'm confused. I thought you said that Miss Lestrade brought in a storage ticket today. It's really quite simple. Yes, the child brought me a storage ticket and the money owed on it, as you say. For this heavy black coat, which you returned to her care as I had understood it. That's right, yes, and rather unsurprisingly, as soon as the little ragamuffin put the thing on, she went rifling through the pockets. Oh, you mean... yeah, it was... okay.
What? Don't you know it's rude to stare at a lady?
Do you consider yourself a lady?
Ah, I see. So it came from the pocket of the overcoat, did it?
If you mean this disc, then yes, exactly, ma'am.
And she immediately tried to pawn it.
For quite a high price as well. This is all rather suspicious, I think.
Give it up. I was trying to pawn something fun like anyone else would. Miss Lestrade, may I ask who deposited the overcoat here in the first place? Well, me.
It doesn't really appear to be your size.
Me old man! It's me old man's, ain't it?
Is it Miss Lestrade? Yes, this is definitely all rather suspicious. But we can't just accuse her of nothing. Out of my way, please. Who's this picture postcard English gentleman? Good day to you, ladies, gentlemen. I'm going to be very posh and prime with them.
What's your problem, eh?
There is no problem, as long as you remove yourself. I have a matter to discuss with the proprietor. And if you intend to make a problem of it, I shall see you outside, little girl, for the hiding you deserve.
Look, ain't it obvious? I ain't done talking with him yet. So if you think you're such a gent, you should know how to wait in line.
Well, you're an impudent little brat, aren't you? As well as a pickpocket.
Eh? Who are you? How do you know who I am?
The question is, how do you not know who I am? You haven't the courtesy even to remember the faces of your victims, it seems.
What? You mean from you?
Broker? Yes, sir. I believe this filthy pickpocket has just redeemed an article from you now. Yes, the article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once.
Oh my. Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull?
Giving back my overcoat, you wastrel, and needless to say, any music box discs too.
No, you can't have it. You just can't. It's me old man's, or it was. Now it's mine. Goodness, Mr. Naruhodo. This is a very awkward situation.
Yeah, I think perhaps we should hear both sides of the story in a little more detail. I really doubt it's Gina's, right? But maybe it actually is.
Miss Lestrade, is what the gentleman is saying... What do you think? It's all lies, ain't it? Obviously. I swear on my life, I ain't never laid eyes on that dandy before.
Let's hear it now, you little ragamuffin. You stole it, didn't you? That ticket you brought in here just now.
No, I swear it. I swear to God.
It was barely an hour ago. I was walking along the street, minding my own business, when this little gutterling ran into me. I knew at once what had happened. I've been robbed yet again, I thought to myself. Those wretched pickpockets. Yet again? Oh yes, as you can see, I am a man of impeccable style. This isn't the first time that I've been targeted by these back slum scoundrels. Now then, relinquish my overcoat. Come along now, Miss Lestrade. Give the good gentleman his coat back. If you're going to cause trouble, I shall have no choice but to call the police.
Hold on! Why does everyone think it's me? Just look at this dandy cove, and do you think I'm the dodgy one?
I'm sorry, but no one's going to believe you.
Well, what about evidence? Yeah. Where's your evidence that I've stolen something, eh? Come on, let's see it.
Oh, I have evidence, naturally.
You what?
Is the evidence possibly the ledger? Because it's going to say who deposited the item, right? Evidence that the article Miss Lestrade redeemed actually belongs to this gentleman.
Of course. We need only consult Mr. Widgerbank's ledger to know the truth.
Exactly what I said.
We'll be able to look up the name of the person who deposited the article in the first place.
Yes, brilliant. I'm very sorry, but I'm afraid that won't be possible.
Oh.
I never ask customers' names. That's a strict policy of mine.
Well, then your ledger's kind of incomplete.
But why not? Well now, as you can imagine, some of my customers have circumstances to consider. A great many of them prefer to maintain their anonymity.
Yes, I see. But then how can you know if an article belongs to the person asking to redeem it?
Oh, it's quite simple. You use the tickets. Good sir. Might I trouble you for the watchword associated with the article in question? Oh, okay, yeah. Of course, it's... Professor. Yes, that's right. And all the evidence we need. This gentleman is the rightful owner of the article, without doubt. A watchword? Interesting. Cool. So I guess he actually does own the code. So, about these watchwords, Mr. Winterbank. As I just explained, I never ask customers' names when they deposit items with me. There are many reasons why certain customers would like to keep their activities secret.
That wasn't exactly a subtle glance at Mr. Sholmes now, was it? Great detectives have no dark secrets, none at all.
Yes, well, anyway, that's why I always ask for a watchword whenever I accept a new article. In many ways, it's like the secret combination of numbers used to unlock a vault. The date of deposit, a description, and a watchword uniquely identified each item. And of course, then I give the storage ticket to the customer. When someone comes to redeem something, I ask for the ticket and the watchword. If that someone tells you the correct watchword, you return the article? That's right, sir. Yes. Just as soon as the requisite fee is paid. And I have supplied you with the information you require already, but for the avoidance of doubt, the article in question is an overcoat, deposited 2 months ago on 15th February. With a watchword of Professor. All perfectly correct information, sir.
But how?
Really, this is beyond a joke now. There is no further room for doubt. I mean, what do you have to say, Miss Lestrade? Can I talk with the man? Oh yeah, I can. Cool. You haven't even given us your name. Oh, okay, you will here though. Excuse me, but who are you? One would expect the inquirer to introduce himself first. Though clearly you are not British, so perhaps our ways are foreign to you. Oh, sorry, yes, we're from the Empire of Japan. We're studying here. Oh yes, Japan. I've heard talk of the place. Its inhabitants live on some fiery brown-colored soup, dressed up with exotic spices. What? You might be thinking of somewhere else, and what was that theatrical gesticulation about? Perhaps, anyway. If you're a gentleman, sir, you offer your own name first before inquiring after the name of another. Of course, yes, I'm Rinosuke Naruhodo. I'm a lawyer, well, a student of law, really.
My name is Susato Mikutoba. I am Naruhodo's assistant.
I see. My name is Benedict. Yes, Egbert Benedict. Of course it is. Enchanté. He's so refined in how he holds himself and how he speaks, but that name is suspicious. Now, to the matter at hand. My overcoat. Return it at once to someone with the style to carry it off. Gah. Every move he makes, every breath he takes, I can't stand watching him. Nice reference. Oh. Well, now you look completely different. The white on white was a good look. So let that be an end to the matter. And thank you for your custom, Mr. Egbert Benedict, sir. With such reasonable rates of interest, I may even decide to come back.
This is why I hate grown-ups. Just because I'm a diver, everyone thinks that makes me a liar.
And the contents of the pockets, if you please, broker. But of course, sir, here's the disc for you. Just this one? Pardon, sir? I was expecting another. That is, I deposited another. Another disc? Oh dear. I regret to inform you, sir, that what was deposited with me was merely the overcoat. The disc happened to be in one of the pockets, but I was completely unaware of it until now. So, Gutterling, you're hiding more of what's rightfully mine, are you?
Says so, huh? I don't know nothing about it.
Very well. Fisticuffs? Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style.
Wait a minute, that disc is mine.
Oh, what do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal.
Oh my, yes, there's blood on the disc.
It's because of all those sharp little bumps. The man must have scratched his finger on them.
I found it first, alright. I mean, it belonged to me old man. So you're not having it. Or you take it.
Me?
If I hang on to it, they'll have it off me again, so you keep hold of it.
Miss Lestrade, why is this disc so important to her? Oh, and I actually did take it. Wow, I'm surprised. Aren't I an accomplice to a crime here? You there, in the black jivery. Yes? Hand that disc to me at once, please.
No, don't. He's lying. Grown-ups are all liars.
What do I do now? How am I going to resolve this? Can I just examine it for a little bit? Oh. McGilded. Huh. That's a name I haven't heard of in a while.
Oh, there's a little scrap of paper stuck onto the reverse side, I see. And a scribbled word or two. It looks like somebody's name. For McGilded.
McGilded? It couldn't be.
But it is, Mr. Naruhodo. A name I shall never forget for as long as I live.
But why? Why is his name on this? Okay, well, it's Mr. McGilded's. Who... Oh, wow. Whew. Those are really sharp bumps, aren't they? I don't need to look at the blood, it's fine. I don't really care. Who do I talk to about this? Gina? The guy? Windbank? Mr. Windibank is clearly at a loss here. We have to do something about this before he reaches for that revolver of his. To shoot himself. Gina, can I talk to you about it? Wow, Miss Lestrade is really looking daggers at that mysterious gentleman. We need to do something to calm things down before she loses control and attacks him again. Oh, wait, can I just present? No, I can't. I need a person that I'm talking to. Look at those piercing eyes. He's clearly in no mood to talk. We have to do something quickly before this mysterious gentleman leaves to fetch the police or something. Who do I show this to? I don't know who to show this to. Am I supposed to examine the disc even more? Seems unnecessary, but whatever. Look at all the little bumps on the disc. They're so tiny.
Yes, the protrusions are called pins, and they pluck the teeth of the comb to make notes. And just on the edge, there's a small amount of blood.
Yes, the blood of the mysterious Mr. Egbert Benedict.
When Miss Lestrade tried to grab the disc from him, the pin scratched his fingers, it seems. Like when you're grating some daikon radish and accidentally catch your finger. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I don't want to imagine grating my skin. That's, ooh, I don't like that. Ouch, just thinking about it hurts and puts me off eating radish. Alright. I mean, literally, what else do, what? Who do I talk to about this? Can I, oh, I mean, I can move, but that doesn't seem to be the thing to do. Where do I... What? Okay, so I examined it. And I figured that I would have to show it to somebody. But I can't do that. So I guess I'll just look at the counter. Look at Mr. Winterbank watching diligently over his shop. There's still so many things I'm curious about, but somehow I don't really feel like this is the right time to be browsing. Calming this fraught situation must be our first priority, and I'm fairly certain that we can find just the great thing we need among the articles here in the shop. Oh! Oh! Okay, okay. So the music box, then? Oh my... Have you just been here the whole time? Like, you just are off-screen so often in this game. Mr. Sholmes, what are you examining with such a keen interest there? As you enjoy of bar caramel, I see. Caramel, whichever way you want to say it. Oh. So, you found me at last, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? After that young pickpocket sent me on my way, I was forced to look in the shadows. Cruelly ostracized as the rest of you partook in the jovial atmosphere of fellowship. I had nothing to occupy my mind, but was too ashamed to let society see what my downfall had done to me. So feigning mock interest, I pretended to examine the tedious trinkets in this desolate place, whilst, as you shrewdly observed, gnawing on the only friend I have left, this 7% solution of caramel. Do they sell caramel in just bars like that? Pray, do you claim to understand the depths of my despair, Mr. Naruhodo? But how could you? I was so lonely, so desperately lonely. Then, why on earth didn't you rejoin the conversation? Things have gone from bad to worse here, you know? Yes, I overheard much of your conversation. Or rather, in my craving for human contact, my ears devoured every word that was uttered. You really were sad, weren't you? Poor Mr. Sholmes. I feel simply awful for you. It would seem that my inferences are correct. Oh, surely you're not about to tell us that you've solved the entire case once again. My dear madam, sometimes I wonder, were my genius for deduction to be commoditized, how much would I pawn it for? It seems Mr. Sholmes has had another of his flashes of inspiration, but who knows if it will help to resolve the situation between Miss Lestrade and the mysterious gentleman. What's the right thing to do here? Just listen to the deduction. Just do it. Who cares? Why would I not, right? Well, Miss Lestrade, it would appear you find yourself in something of a predicament.
Where the blue blazes have you been, huh?
Pardon?
When a lady's in trouble, a true gent's supposed to be there to help. Straight away, not an hour later.
Harsh. Aren't you the one that sent him away?
And who, pray tell, are you?
Mr. Egbert Benedict, you have, in my eyes, a veritably encyclopedic array of curiosities about your person. Nevertheless, there are two immovable conclusions I have drawn. I beg your pardon. The first is... the true reason for your visit to this pawnbrokery today is something you have not yet revealed. Oh, and the second is this. A considerable crime is in contemplation, one you will orchestrate with intent to steal a vast sum of money. Well, Mr. Benedict, what say you to my deductions? How? He's turned as white as a hard-boiled egg.
It would seem that, once again, Mr. Sholmes has made a flawless deduction.
Just who do you think you are, sir?
Oh yes, as I'd hoped. That is precisely the pained expression I was looking for. Very nice. So, shall we begin? The time has come for yet another Herlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. Ah, God, I love these so much. They're so good. And I'm really sad that I didn't get to do one during episode 3. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. Oh, what's that thing in your hand? As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes. What brought you to this shop in the first place is a staff recruitment flyer. Are you positive? The piece of paper in your hand is a staff wanted advertisement from this very shop. Yet even the most unobservant would soon realize that a man of your appearance has no need of such employ. In other words, there's some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot! I've had this cane for years. Well, obviously it's the initials. You can see them right there. Oh, nope, apparently not, because Mr. Sholmes is... Wait. Are you kidding? The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. The end of any walking cane would be terminated with a metal ferrule to protect the wooden tip. And yet, detailed analysis shows that the wooden tip of this stick to be utterly bare. Therefore, there's only one conclusion. The rod that you hold in your hand, which appears to be a walking cane, is in fact no cane at all, but instead a bludgeon. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding the riddle, you see. From the moment I saw it, my suspicions were aroused. What walking cane demands such a stout handle? Mused I. But of course, as I said, it is no walking cane. No, that rod... is the broken handle of a shovel. What? Are you insane? And now, having determined this undeniable truth, the conclusion is clear. Your true motive for coming here was to take employment at this establishment in order to excavate the ground beneath the premises. What a calculated crime you have conceived, sir. A wickedly calculated crime. That was quite possibly the worst deduction I've ever seen in my life. Like, how can you even call yourself a detective if that's the sort of crap you bring up? It's just so awful. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, intend to excavate the ground beneath this pawnbrokery with a broken shovel? What on earth do you propose I could expect to find there? Some long-forgotten treasure, I suppose. Save for such a fanciful theory, what possible reason could I have to do as you say? Oh, but there is ample reason. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider what would motivate a man to infiltrate a shop such as this and covertly dig beneath its floor. The answer is revealed by the council notice on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. The letter gives notice of a public works to be carried out in the local area. And according to the enclosed plan of the upcoming sewage works, beneath this shop runs a sewer that adjoins another, one that runs under the bank on the opposite side of the road. This madness has entered the sewers now, has it? By excavating the ground beneath our feet, you would gain access to the waterway. That flows in very close proximity to the great vault of the financial institution opposite. What are you... In summary, sir, you devised a massive plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery by dint of the underground tunnels, just like in Payday. Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. With what plunder did the thief hope to make off from the underground vault to the bank? Are you quite serious? Obviously it was money. Having consulted with Scotland Yard some days ago, I happen to know the answer. But naturally, the answer is no secret to you, is it, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all that we need to know. A postcard of the Great Exhibition? I'm afraid you've quite lost me. Currently, in the final stages of preparation, the Great Exhibition will soon be underway, and the government has provided extra funds to complete its centerpiece, the Crystal Tower. Funds that currently sit in the vault of the bank on the other side of this road. Pardon? Yes, the considerable crime you have been contemplating is the theft of that which sits in the vault of that bank, the special reserve funds for the Great Exhibition. Of course, that is a top-secret police information, so keep it under your hat, please. As he tells literally everyone in the shop right now. Oh boy. Thus concludes Olaf Sholmes' great deduction of this pawnbroking puzzle. And a great deduction it was. Absolutely superb. Minus a few details, of course. Mr. Sholmes. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, an impressively upbeat deduction for a detective racked with loneliness, would you not agree? Was it true what you said about the bank over the road and what it has in its vault? Indeed. Though few know of its existence, it is one of the government's most closely guarded secrets. Gregson told me in the strictest confidence. But you just announced it to everyone here, rather loudly in fact. Ah. And if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it? There can be but one explanation for that. Clearly, it is because the man is a criminal. But what if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? If he is a criminal, as you said, then buying a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now that you've revealed the secret. Oh. Or if he doesn't, maybe Mr. Windibank will. He already has plenty of shovels here after all. Oh my life! I assure you I'm not so unscrupulous. Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care. One can never be sure that someone privy to secrets won't disclose them, and once the word is out, it's out. Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding in you next time, Mr. Sholmes. An excellent idea, Mr. Naruhodo. An excellent idea. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, you know what to do, I'm sure. Yes, let's listen to that great deduction again, and see if we can massage it into shape. Very well then, let us start once more from the beginning. Of Olaf Sholmes' magnificent logic and reasoning spectacular. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured into the pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that with which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you here to this shop in the first place is a staff recruitment flyer. No. So, by Mr. Sholmes' reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so we could dig down through the floor. Yes, in an attempt to tunnel into the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he? No, I think it's fair to say that his motives lie elsewhere. The question is, where? What did bring Mr. Benedict here at this particular important time? I mean, the cane, right? It's got to be the cane. That's a proper English gentleman's cane, isn't it? Look at the beautifully polished brass on the handle. Yes, but Mr. Sholmes is right. It's not the sort of handle you would usually see on a cane. Perhaps it's the latest London fashion. I mean, that's just guesswork, of course. Perhaps you could adopt a cane, Mr. Naruhodo? It might rather suit you. I have a feeling it might argue with this sword around my waist. Fair point.
Take that!
Oh, it's not the cane. You can't judge a book by its covers, they say. Someone who appears wealthy may be poor. Being such a man, you're desperate for money. When you realized you had no real need for your cane, you brought it here today with the intention of pawning it for as much as the broker would give you. What precisely was your intention with that, Mr. Naruhodo? Just following the natural progression of the deduction. Sometimes the truth hurts. Well, the truth is, you do not have a turn for observation or deduction. Did that hurt? Wow, you're so mean, even though you're not right either. Yes, a lot. Alright, let's retry this. I still don't quite understand why this gentleman came to Mr. Windibank's today. He might look like a smartly dressed man about town, but perhaps he's destitute, really. I really think that's the only explanation. We must stop thinking along those lines, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, I suppose you're right. Well, in that case, perhaps there's something in this pawn shop that the man was looking for? Let's look closely and see if there's anything about his person that gives us a clue. Is there something in your hand? Can I look down? No, I can really only look in this area, huh? What would the stylish hat have anything to do with this? That silk top hat is whiter than white. Only an English gentleman could hope to carry off something so bright. But it looks so incongruous with the black overcoat, don't you think? Perhaps it's the latest London fashion. I mean, that's just guesswork, of course. How about it, Mr. Naruhodo? I think you look very fetching in a white top hat. Well, you know, I think it might look rather incongruous with my black university uniform, so... not today. Is that the only thing I can choose otherwise? Oh. Wait, it's a staff recruitment flyer, but there's a scribbled writing and details about Miss Lestrade. Or... well, okay, it said details about Miss Lestrade for like a split second. But that's gotta be what this actually is. Oh, look at all the scribbled notes on the back of the flyer here. I don't believe it. What is it? Listen to what it says. Name, Gina Lestrade, height, 5'2". Green cap, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue satchel, ragged. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade. Goodness, there's even a sketch of her, hat and all. Although, if he showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade launcher in his face for sure. And look, the details of the shop have been written down here too. Windibank's Pawnbrokery, Baker Street. Redemption deadline 15th of April. Which is today's date. Why would Mr. Benedict have all that information scrawled on the back of that piece of paper? Alright, this has got to be it, right? I didn't even think to look at the back of the flyer. I'm not even close to Mr. Sholmes's deduction skills. Yes, what brought you into the shop in the first place is the info about Miss Lestrade. Quite so, my dear fellow. It would appear that the writing and sketch on the reverse of the flyer pertain to the pickpocket, Miss Lestrade, and to Mr. Windibank's pawnbrokery here. Ah. You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you. But that, sir, is a thinly veiled lie. It is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today, by which I mean, here, to Windibank's pawnbrokery, and today, the redemption deadline of that overcoat. So you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive. Huh. And you have gone to some lengths to hide the reason for your pursuit of Miss Lestrade. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot! I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. How dumb can you be? What's a ferrule? It's the metal cap commonly found at the end of a cane, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah, the bit that makes the nice clacking sound on the pavement. Yes, exactly. And Mr. Sholmes is right, it appears to be missing on this cane. But it doesn't actually look broken, does it? No, it doesn't. Though the gentleman certainly did recoil when Mr. Sholmes identified the cane as suspicious. In other words, there's some secret about the cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we don't know. Come on now. AG. Look here, Mr. Sato. There's some letters on the handle. Ah, yes. Those must be initials, I think. In the West, it's customary for people to engrave their belongings with the first letter of their names. So, Sherlock Sholmes would be HS, you mean? That's right. And the initials on this cane, obviously... Oh. AG. Why does it feel as though that's not quite right? Well, it's definitely not Egbert Benedict. So let's go ahead and present it as the reason. Heckin' yeah! The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing. A most astute observation, wouldn't you say, Mr. Egbert Benedict? Or is it Eggert? We ought to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet, in a most possessive manner, you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials AG. An incontrovertible contradiction indeed, would you not agree? No, you're wrong. This cane isn't... You said before that you'd had the cane for years. Grr. So don't try to tell us that you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in the park. In short, though you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you have withheld your true name. Oh, I see. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? Hi. And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. But it's not. Let's consider the bare bones of what's happened here. Miss Lestrade redeemed that fine-looking overcoat. And now, a mysterious man has appeared, introducing himself with a fake name, and claiming that the overcoat belongs to him. But we know that he actually identified Miss Lestrade from a written description, which suggests that everything else he's told us is untrue. So, what we need to do here is somehow prove that the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. Okay. Can't look down. Oh, okay, here we go. A split seam. Sure.
Take that!
I didn't notice that before. Was that there? Maybe. I don't know. The split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Ah. Yes, because the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit. Having forced it over your broad shoulders, the seam is already breaking apart. My suspicions were aroused from the outset. When you so boldly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket. Ah. This catalogue of untruths has been all for one very specific purpose. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Windibank. Ah. But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed. Yeah, you're exactly right. It's not even close. It has nothing to do with the bank anymore, like, at all. You silly, silly man. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed a wheeze to flitch some tawdry article of pawnage. Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner, using the watchword? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place, how could I possibly have known the relevant details? Ne sais pas. Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. The method is revealed by the council note on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Yeah, okay, I'm glad that it stops it here, because literally what explanation would Mr. Sholmes bring this to? The direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think. Yes, no more talk of tunneling into the sewers, which is a pity because it all sounded rather exciting. Anyway, you can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword. Yes, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Windibank would never allow you to redeem the article. Or, Looking at it another way, if you did know that word, Mr. Windibank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? Well, from the ledger, right? From the. It's can I not? I can't. Can't look at the ledger, I guess. Let's take a look at this notelet, shall we? Give me 1 second. Feeling rather peckish, having done this right after I woke up. Good thing I have this jar of peanut butter here. Man, I seriously love peanut butter. It's just so good. I honestly feel really bad for people that have peanut allergies. Because obviously if they eat peanut butter, they just die. So it almost kind of feels, you know, really cool, right? Like, I can eat something that just kills other people, you know? Like, oh no, you see, I'm actually immune to this poison, sort of thing. Like, doesn't that, I don't know, it makes it sound like really cool, right? Look at this, Mr. Sato. Ah, it appears to be a memo that Mr. Windibank has scribbled to himself. Let's see, what does it say? Oh, Professor. Mr. Windibank must make a note of the watchwords his customers give him right before their eyes. And in alarmingly clear script as well. Oh dear, I don't know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see? Okay, well, it's definitely that then. But I figured it would be in the ledger, not the notelet. The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Yes, the broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword, and then notes down the response uttered on a notelet he has to hand. Then he consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question. I would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker. But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages. What are you talking about? It is increasingly apparent that you were present in the shop before your accusation against Miss Lestrade. In all likelihood, you followed her inside and then observed her talking to Mr. Windibank. When the diligent broker made a note of the watchword, as is his common practice, you observed him writing the word professor on the notelet beside the ledger. And that, sir, was the master plan you devised to steal the pawned article from the young Miss Lestrade. Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker? Are you quite serious? For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. But naturally, you had a very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. But it doesn't, though. The articles we're talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets, which, according to Mr. Windibank, isn't even worth a penny. And yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why? I wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it, Mr. Naruhodo. Could we? Really? I'd better have a thorough look through all the evidence we've collected so far.
Take that!
It's for one Mr. McGilded. You see, this music box disc tells us everything that we need to know. What's that, on the back? It reads, for Mr. McGilded. Mr. Magnus McGilded, the unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, though his loan-mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. So, you're an associate of his, are you? Or perhaps a subordinate? Mr. McGilded was a man of unusually small stature. In fact, he was precisely the right size for that overcoat that you've squeezed yourself into. Your true identity remains shrouded in a mystery, Mr. Eggert Benedict. But the final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus McGilded. Got him. Man, you just can't handle it. Deduction complete. Elementary. Yeah, but that still doesn't go to show, why did you wait until now? Or why did Gina wait until now, really, to do this? Well, well, Mr. Magnus McGilded. Not a name I expected to hear in these circumstances. Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind. Pray tell, Miss Susato. Well, according to what Mr. Windibank told us earlier, today was the final day on which the coat could have been redeemed, was it not? Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Today would be precisely 2 months since it was first deposited. Well, today is April 15th, so 2 months ago today would have been the 15th of February, sir. That's right. It's all carefully recorded in my ledger. Deposited at 10:30 p.m., I see. What? But that suggests... Wasn't Mr. McGilded already dead? Yes, 15th February is precisely the day on which the omnibus murder took place. And 10:30 in the evening is precisely the time at which the terrible events were unfolding. Oh, no. Okay. Suggestive is not the word. It would seem the matter is entirely beyond coincidence. Huh. Will this shine light on the old case, I wonder? You are, of course, at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose. However, I must insist you hand over the music box disc now. I've had a gun pointed at my face before, don't even worry about it. It would be a terrible shame for you to return to your native land in a box. What do I do? I mean, what's he gonna do, shoot me? Right? No. You wouldn't be shot in this game. Right? Absolutely not. Screw you, man. There are some things a man must protect at all costs. This may well be one of those things. Then again, it may not. Mr. Windibank! This is my shop. I can't allow any harm to come to my customers. If that were to happen, I should have to take my own life. Mr. Windibank, no! Alright, that's enough. Inspector Gregson. Inspector. That's right, Sunshine. The alarm was raised on one of our dedicated emergency lines, so we got here as fast as we could. Now, what's this all about, huh? Oh, praise be, you're here at last. I was moments away from forfeiting my own life at my very own establishment. What a freaking weirdo. It would seem you have the upper hand. That's dang right, you'll never get this music box from me. Or the music box disc. Right. You lot have got some explaining to do. I don't appreciate being bothered with some petty argy-bargy. Petty? Mr. Windibank very nearly met it with his own end. Yeah, by his own gun as far as I can tell. Oh dear. And the whole of Britain could meet with its end if I don't get to the bottom of this case I'm supposed to be working on. What? What on earth is the case, Inspector? Spare no detail, Gregson. I might have said a little too much. No matter. It's nothing to do with you lot. Anyway, sir, you're gonna have to come with me down to the station. But of course, Inspector. Ah! He's getting away! Get after him, lads! Whistle the beat officer, too! Sir! He just twirled away like nothing else. There's been a spat of thefts at pawn shops around here recently, so we fitted emergency buttons underneath the counters for brokers to let us know when there's trouble. Oh, Inspector, I was very worried there for a while. Very worried indeed. Now then, Mr. Permanently in Mourning. Oh, yes? I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. Oh, yes, of course.
No, don't! Don't give it to him! It's mine, that is. It's mine!
I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. As evidence? If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. Or whatever the word was. It's all yours, Inspector. And so, we handed Mr. McGilded's disc over to Inspector Gregson, and were summarily turfed out of the shop and ran onto the street. To be continued. To be continued right now, as it were. Because I need to know what happens next, right? Come on. Would I be ending up in court? Doubtful, right? I don't think I'd be ending up in court because but there's no case. Back here on Baker Street.
See, that's why I hate grown-ups. All they do is feed you a pack of lies and take stuff away from you.
Oh, really, Miss Lestrade? Tell me, is that overcoat keeping you warm?
What?
Oh my, surely you were given that.
Yeah, but Dee let me keep it, after I took a look at daggers at him for long enough. He went through the pockets and then said, go on then, have it, before telling me to scalp her. Always pays off giving people the look you ate 'em.
I can't help feeling that it's going to get you into serious trouble one day.
What I really want was that nice shiny disc of his, mind.
The music box disc? But Mr. Winterbank said it was practically worthless.
I think I'm going to have to go and have another bash. Give him a long, hard stare.
I think not, Miss Lestrade. We shan't enter Winterbanks again today.
Why not? That's not fair.
It can't be helped, I'm afraid. The police are investigating the scene now and taking a statement from Mr. Winterbank.
But that disc's mine. I had the ticket for this coat and it was in the coat's pocket. And there should be something else and all. That's what the Rotten Cove said, ain't it?
Yes, he did mention something about another article, didn't he?
Well then, that's mine too. Whatever it is.
Now she's really pushing her luck. Miss Lestrade, I think it's time to admit defeat. You've had your haul for the day.
Yeah, and it's all your fault, Sholmes.
If you didn't show up, you wouldn't have kept the overcoat. So, what are your plans now? Will you dine with us this evening? Iris would be delighted to cook, I'm sure, and I might entertain you with a modest violin recital. So?
No, Ta.
Oh.
Why would I come around your place, eh? Have you lost your head or something?
And there she goes.
Oh dear, she's gone.
Having reviled on me quite unnecessarily, I might add. I can't help wondering if perhaps she might turn up anyway. Interesting. When she's had a chance to calm down, I think there's a good chance she'll decide to come. Very well then. I'll inform Iris to set a place for our potential guest at the dinner table this evening. And one more thing. I should be glad of your company later too. Sorry? I believe I will have a rather splendid surprise to show you.
Oh, how exciting. What is it?
You shall have to wait and see, Miss Susato. Until later, then. Can we just go up to his suite? I've got no reason to be anywhere else, really. Here we are, back in Sholmes' apartment.
Ah, Susie and Bruno, come in, come in.
Good afternoon, Iris.
Thank you so much for breakfast this morning. Oh, don't mention it. Goodness, look at the time already.
Busy as always?
I am. I prepared everything for dinner this evening.
Already? You're obviously cooking something special, are you?
Oh yes, after all, we have a special guest joining us. Guess who it is? Go on. You'll never guess.
Look at those little eyes of hers shining.
Oh dear. It is awkward when you already know the answer, isn't it? It's Jenny! Isn't that exciting? Oh, what a surprise. Yes, that's wonderful news.
Wow, it seems Iris is really, really happy at the idea.
I can't wait to learn some pickpocketing tips from a real professional.
Oh yes, that does sound like fun.
I'm not sure that's entirely appropriate. Are you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Hey, always let kids learn new things, okay? By the way, Iris, what's Mr. Sholmes up to?
Hurley? Oh, he's been like that ever since he got back.
Hello, Mr. Sholmes. I beg that you won't speak to me. Sorry? I don't know who you are, but kindly take your leave. As you can see, I'm not here. I don't know how to respond to that.
I do apologize. When he gets like this, he's completely oblivious to everything.
Yes, I see.
Really, he behaves just like a child sometimes, Hurley does. Mr. Sholmes and Iris have something of a parent and child relationship, don't they?
Yes, except that Iris is clearly the parent here. Come to think of it, I wonder where her real parents are.
What's the matter, Bruno? Have you have ever such a funny look on your face?
Oh, no, it's nothing.
I know what it is. Why does this girl live here with Mr. Sholmes, you're wondering? Am I right?
How? How did you...
Hey! Oh, Bruno, I can read you like a book.
Ugh, this girl is dangerous.
Don't worry, you can ask me anything. I won't mind.
Are you... okay, it seems like it would be a painful subject. But, this is the top one, so let's talk about Jenny first. Miss Lestrade. The young woman from the McGilded case 2 months ago. Her.
Yes, who also stole my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Although, after that trial, I invited her back here and we had dinner together. And now we're the best of friends. Oh, what a lovely tale. Yes, now if I bump into her on the street, she runs away as fast as she can.
Oh.
And I chase after her down the back alleys.
Interesting idea of friendship.
And then I let her have the latest color of smoke grenade I've developed.
Oh.
There's so many beautiful colors in the world. Jenny wants me to make a whole rainbow.
I suppose this means you've let Miss Lestrade keep the smoke grenade launcher, have you?
Yes, that's right. I got bored of it anyway. Hurley always reacts the same way when I shoot him with it now.
Oh, poor Hurley.
Oh, I can't wait for Jenny to arrive. It's been too long since she last came over. I'm so excited.
I just hope she actually does come.
I'm sure you've been wondering why it is that I live here with Hurley, haven't you?
Well, it has crossed my mind that, and where are your real parents?
My mummy and daddy aren't with me anymore.
Are they dead?
Mummy passed away when I was born, and at around the same time, my father, well, he had to go to a faraway land because of one of the cases he and Hurley were working on.
Oh. Wait a minute. Did you say he and Hurley?
Yes. Daddy and Hurley were always solving mystery cases together.
She didn't mention that before.
He wrote them all up in his diaries. That's what's inside the metal chest over here.
Really? He recorded them all? I thought that was with the pawnbrokers now.
So, you mean it's true? Mr. Sholmes really did have a partner with whom he tackled some of his most taxing cases. Oh yes, I mean, it's always nice to have one, isn't it? So, Mr. Sholmes' partner...
Oh, so Mr. Sholmes' partner was your father?
Exactly. Hurley told me I wasn't allowed to look in the chest, but that only made me want to look even more, so I opened it up.
And found your father's memoirs.
Yes. So I asked Hurley, who wrote these? He nearly fell off his chair. But then he told me, that's when I found out that the author of all those accounts was my father.
So Iris's father was Mr. Sholmes' partner. Makes sense, yeah. And you've kind of just taken his stead, huh?
I've practically lived with Hurley all my life. I was tiny when he took me in. So, it came as quite a shock when Hurley told me that he wasn't really my daddy, I mean.
It must have done.
I wonder why Mr. Sholmes chose to tell you, and at such a young age. Hurley says it's because he wouldn't have been able to hide it from me.
Oh?
Well, having lived with Hurley all these years, you might say that his ways have rubbed up on me. There are some things I can just see. Especially lies. I almost know when people are lying before they open their mouths sometimes.
Right.
Anyway, I was so fascinated when I read Daddy's diaries. That's what inspired me to write The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, actually. I'd always assumed Mr. Sholmes simply told you all those thrilling stories. Oh no, Hurley's hopeless like that. He forgets everything. As soon as he solved a case, it all but vanishes from his mind.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Oh, I see. The other day, it was so embarrassing. As usual, he totally forgot about the case he just solved. So, the very next day, he gathered together all the people involved and proceeded to solve the case again. It was quite a shock for everyone.
You can say that again.
You share your father's surname, don't you, Iris? That's right, Wilson. Daddy is Dr. John H. Wilson. I learned from his diaries that he's a doctor of medicine, you see. That's what prompted me to study and study so that I could earn a doctorate as well.
I don't know why they allowed you to do that at age 10. Iris's father, who went to some distant land, and is a doctor by the name of John H. Wilson.
The court will now hear the trial of Rinosuke Naruhodo. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case.
Oh no!
Dang it. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. It all comes full circle. That's really sad. That's right, visiting professor of medicine at Imperial Yume University, and the man who, in the most bizarre circumstances, lost his life just before we left Japan. Wow, this is all very coincidental, huh? Miss Susato, yes. Perhaps we shouldn't pursue this conversation any further at this time.
I think that would be for the best.
It didn't even cross my mind. Oh, my dear fellows. I see.
Oh, Mr. Holmes. Why ever did you not make your presence known to me before?
Huh.
Well, no matter now.
Yes, so, how the devil are you? We've been with you for most of the day. Goodness, really?
Do tell me, Mr. Sholmes, is your violin unscathed?
My violin? Whatever are you talking about, dear madam?
Oh,
Never mind that now. I have something far more interesting to show you. Behold, my dear fellows.
Oh, another music box disc. Another music box disc.
No, not another disc, Miss Susato. This is the one Gregson demanded we hand over as evidence. Mr. McGilded's disc.
Oh my.
Then what's it doing here? You know, at times, Mr. Naruhodo, I think that though I have an undeniable turn for detection, I may well be even more adept at larceny. That's not really something you should be proud of.
Oh, that would be wonderfully exciting. I'd be your pickpocketing assistant. And Runo could be our go-to lawyer if we ever got caught.
Right.
Plus, Susie has such beautiful handwriting, she could write all our menacing crime notifications.
Your calling cards, you mean?
Yes, I'd be delighted.
I'm just going to pretend this conversation never happened, I think. Oh, jeez. Let's talk about the disc, right? I don't understand. How did that disc come to be in your possession? I thought Inspector Gregson took it back to Scotland Yard. Quite correct. And that sort of uncompromising attitude is precisely why I always carry some of this. The caramel?
That's a bar of caramel, Mr. Holmes.
Your one and only friend in times of loneliness, if I'm not mistaken. If you will humor me, my dear fellows, cast your minds back to when the good detective confiscated the disc. I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. Oh, yes, of course. If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. For the briefest of moments, I had the disc in my hand, did I not? Yes, you did, but I still don't understand. Oh, did you press it into the caramel? It was at precisely that moment that I summoned my one and only friend into action. I pressed the disc into a pair of bars like this. That's amazing. The disc and all the minuscule protrusions have made an image in the caramel. Indeed. This caramel is quite exceptional. I developed it myself, you know. suitably soft for making impressions, but resistant to melting. The result of a precisely controlled solution.
How extraordinary.
Carrying a pair of these on one's person frequently proves very useful indeed. Take a house key, for example. A simple press, and its unique form is duplicated. I can enter anyone's property at will, and never without high sucrose nourishment. Yeah, it sounds illegal. From the image, I was able to create this. I confess, I was most curious to know what manner of music would issue from the disc when played. Okay, yeah, let's talk about it. Is it just awful?
Do tell us then, Mr. Sholmes. What music does the disc play?
Well, unfortunately, I have no idea. No idea? None whatsoever. Are you familiar with the workings of a music box, my dear fellows? No, I'm afraid not.
Goodness, you don't know, Runo?
I mean, I know, but...
Inside a music box, there's a special metal piece called a comb. That's what produces the sound. Small protuberances pluck the different teeth of the comb as they rotate past it, making the different notes. The first music boxes to be invented used a rotating cylinder with protuberances on it.
Yeah, you had to use one of those in a 999 puzzle. By the way, if nobody here has played 999, play it. It's so good. Especially its sequel, VLR, Virtue's Last Reward. The third game's not as good, but meh. But over time, a new type of player was produced which uses discs such as these. With that development, the popularity of music boxes spread far and wide all around the globe. But why would... Yeah, why exactly? Because the discs are easy to produce and can be interchanged to facilitate the playing of different tunes. There are a great many firms in Europe now manufacturing music boxes as a result.
It is wonderful to be able to enjoy music, even when no performer is present.
But it is the very success of the invention that means we are now presented with an insurmountable problem. What do you mean? As you may imagine, the construction of one firm's music box does not match that of another, and we may have no way of knowing in which music box this particular disc was designed to be played. There is no resolution to this problem, I'm afraid. It's quite intractable.
Ah, I see. So that's why.
Naturally, I tested this disc with a few music boxes I have at my disposal. But as you can hear, to no avail. Yeah, it doesn't really sound right, does it? The results were equally unsatisfactory in this one. Yep. So, I am presently engaged in acquiring an example of all the music boxes ever made in Europe.
Every single one? That's Hurley for you, always taking things too far.
But, my dear girl, an unsolved riddle is quite repugnant to my constitution. But surely all the types in Europe will amount to a huge volume of music boxes, won't it? Yes, that is certainly true, in the worst case. I shall just have to ask you to vacate the attic room.
What?
I mean, it makes sense, right? Magnus McGilded, not a name I expected to hear again so soon. Yes, it's only been 2 months since that grisly case, where somebody died in a fire, which is possibly one of the worst ways to die. Mr. McGilded perished within hours of the trial's conclusion. Was it the curse of the Reaper? No one knows. The omnibus was reduced to a pile of ash. Not a shred of evidence remained. And with the man's death, the truth about the murder in which he was so intimately involved was buried. And we'll never really know, huh? Even though we successfully established Mr. McGilded's innocence in the trial,
the newspapers are still claiming that it remains an unsolved case.
Well, yeah. Declaring someone as innocent means the case is still unsolved. That's how that works. The murder of the brickmaker, Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. In the end, the truth of the matter remains a mystery. We still have no idea what really happened that night. And although Mr. McGilded was found not guilty of my defense, I still don't know if that was the right judgment or not. Yeah. I don't know either, man. Because it really seems like he probably was the murderer. It would appear the case is not yet closed. Okay, so when do I get to the Hound of Baskerville, just by the way? Because I've been playing this episode for 2 hours now.
Well, it's time I started getting things ready for dinner, I think. Ginny will be here before long.
Thank you, Iris.
Oh, well, you must let me help you then. Of course, Susie. There's plenty to do.
I think I shall investigate the condition of my faithful performing partner. Now then, where did I leave it? Let this be a lesson to you, Mr. Sholmes. Never leave anything too precious with the pawnbroker. Yes. You may be right.
Oh, that reminds me of something Mr. Windibank said before. He said that he had a manuscript of Iris's in pawn, didn't he?
Did he? Yes, he definitely mentioned it. Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom, were his words, I believe.
So you heard about that, did you? I expect you were as incensed as I was. Oh yes, the idea of such a wonderful story languishing in Mr. Windibank's storeroom gathering dust.
My dearest madam, I'm quite sure I told you already. The pawnbroker's storeroom is the safest place for it, more secure than a bank's vault.
And what about your Stradivarius, Hurley? Was that safe and secure?
Well, there may be the occasional mix-up, caused by a certain impetuous someone not too far from me now.
Do you have any idea how long it took me to write that Baskerville story, Hurley? Oh, it sounds so exciting. The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it.
What happened? What?
Ah!
Did she know the title when she wasn't supposed to? What's going on here? Why does it feel like an icy chill just swept through the room?
Susie, what did you just say? You said The Hound of the Baskervilles. But how could you know the full title? Well, that's
because Mr. Sato is such a great fan of all the stories about Mr. Sholmes, of course.
But, Bruno, The Hound of the Baskervilles has never been published.
What?
When I showed Hurley the manuscript, he told me that I wasn't allowed to publish it yet.
I don't understand.
That's why he said he'd been keeping it safe, until it was the right time for the story to be made public, you see.
So that's what the manuscript is at Windibank's?
And yet, how could Susie here know its title? Well, Hurley, what's going on?
What is it, Mr. Holmes? Sholmes, excuse me. It would appear our guest has arrived. Gina, what's up? Miss Lestrade.
This was a bad idea. I knew I weren't welcome. I'm going.
No, you get back here. No, wait, Miss Lestrade. We've all been eagerly awaiting your arrival. Haven't we, Iris? Why are you so sad?
Oh yes, just wait here, Jenny. We'll have everything ready in a jiffy. Come along, Susie. Oh, right, of course. It's a pleasure to see you here, Miss Lestrade. Please, make yourself at home.
Don't stand at the doorway, my dear girl. Come along in. What say you to some meddlesome? I won't take no for an answer. Meddlesome it is, then. She's such a tsundere.
Waggy!
What a cute little baby. That evening, Iris prepared us all a meal that was even more delicious than usual. Mr. Sholmes' violin performance was in no way meddlesome, and Gina, as we all came to call her, taught us all how to steal things from one another without being noticed. Everyone thoroughly enjoyed themselves well into the night. Until the murder happened! Alright, so past sundown on the 15th of April, Naruhodo's legal consultancy. That was a very enjoyable evening, wasn't it?
Oh yes, Iris's cooking was truly divine.
And I feel as though I can still hear the enchanting strains of Mr. Sholmes' violin even now.
Best of all, I bet I could steal the glasses from his lordship's face next time we're in court.
That would be absolutely hilarious.
go ahead and do it.
Naruhodo-san, could I consult with you about something, I wonder?
What's the matter, Susato-san?
It's about the telegram I received.
Ah, the one that arrived first thing this morning, I suppose.
I've been summoned.
Oh, as a juror? That's kind of cool. What? Summoned? What do you mean?
The telegram was from the Lord Chief Justice's office. Lord Strongheart has asked to see me.
Oh. The Lord Chief Justice? When?
Tomorrow morning.
What? Then we have to start preparing at once.
Oh, no, that won't be necessary, Naruhodo-san. I've been summoned alone.
Alone? What on earth for?
I have no idea. I suppose I shall find out tomorrow.
What's this all about? Whatever it is, it's making me feel very uneasy. Knock, knock. Oh, who could that be, I wonder?
Good evening, friends!
Ah, Iris. Hello again. And Gina, the tsundere.
And Gina, too. Yes, Ginny's going to stay with us tonight. She's sleeping in with me. Isn't that right, Ginny? Well, yeah. How lovely. Let me make a pot of tea. You know, I've learned so much today. Oh, what in particular? All those things Ginny showed us. Wasn't it wonderful?
Ah, you mean all those pickpocketing techniques. We had fun trying them out on each other, didn't we?
I think I've awakened a natural talent. I could earn a living from it.
You might be getting ahead of yourself a little there. You kind of stick out, don't you? So, what brings you up to our humble quarters at this late hour?
Well, you see, I came to return this.
Wait, what? That's mine.
Oh my, however did you... I told you, didn't I? I have a natural talent for it.
Oh yes, I'd forgotten. Iris literally is a child genius.
So anyway, here, you can have it back. Not that I really understand why you wear it, though.
Ah, thank you.
Alright then, good night.
Yes, good night. Oyasumi nasai.
So, this is your office, is it? What do you think, Jenny?
I think it wouldn't fancy me chances with a lawyer what lives in a place like this.
Yes, me too.
It seems as though Iris here still has something she'd like to talk about.
I suppose she probably wants to talk about the manuscript.
Yes, I suppose she probably does. Alright, well, let's talk about it, yeah?
Iris, I suppose you're hoping to talk about the manuscript, aren't you? Aren't you going to tell me?
Come on.
I'm so sorry. I need a little more time, please.
What?
Alright, I understand. I hope I haven't made you feel awkward. Oh no, not at all, Iris, not at all.
Why are you being so weird about it, Susato?
I don't know what all this is about, really, but... It's a story you made up, is it, Iris? This mantle script, or whatever you call it? It's not exactly a story that I made up. It's something I read in Daddy's diaries.
Daddy's?
That's right. I don't suppose I've mentioned it to you before, Ginny, but my daddy was Hurley's assistant once, his partner. Eh? They solved all sorts of strange and mysterious cases together. Is that right, mister?
Apparently so. I was as surprised as you are, though.
And Daddy wrote all the details of every single case down, you see, in his diaries. So I study them and write my short stories based on what actually happened. So, where's the old man now, then? He had to go away on urgent business to a faraway land, and he'll be gone for a very long time. So, I've never really met him.
It's really sad.
Oh, right.
Come to think of it, I don't know anything about Gina's parents either. Perhaps we should ask her. I mean, Rinosuke, I don't know anything about your parents.
Iris, this Hound of the Baskerville story, I take it that it's another tale inspired by your father's accounts?
That's right. I thought it was fascinating. But it's different somehow. From the other cases, I mean.
Oh? How?
I don't really know, but it must be special in some way. Because after I'd written it and showed the manuscript to Hurley, he turned as white as a sheet. It was the first time I've ever seen him like that.
Pains me to have to say this after you've toiled over it for so long, Iris, but this story must not be published at this time, under any circumstances.
But why not? It's one of my best works.
I'm not at liberty to say, not now. So please, do not ask me. I guess it has to do with an ongoing case or something.
Alright then, I won't.
But I do solemnly swear that I will explain everything one day, Iris, when the time is right. And that's how the manuscript came to be with Mr. Windibank, is it?
Yes. Hurley said it had to be somewhere very safe. That really gets my goat, that does. He's treating you like a child.
I mean, she is a child.
It means, that's what it is, keeping secrets like that.
I'm sure Mr. Sholmes isn't trying to be mean.
Eh?
If he said he wasn't at liberty to talk about it, I'm sure there must have been a very good reason.
I think so too. You lot are too trusting for your own good. But he can't pull the wool over my eyes. Sholmes is lying to Iris. I bet my life on it.
What?
Hurley's lying to me?
No, Iris would know. Don't be so freaking mean. Jeez. Why are you like this? Alright. I've realized that I don't know anything about your parents, Gina.
Well, I ain't got any, have I? Never did have. Oh. Look, the ACENM's full of orphans like me. No one wants nothing to do with us from the minute we're born, not even our mums.
That's really sad.
But we all stick together. The older ones look after the little ones and make sure they get by. So that's why you're a pickpocket. Nah. Diving's my life. I love it. I get a kick out of every time I see some pompous idiot's purse. And that's how we all fall to eat. I'm like Robin Hood, ain't I? That's how I see it. Oh, Gina. I do think about it sometimes. What it'd be like to have parents, I mean. I always thought it'd make everything right. But having listened to what Iris just said, it sounds like having parents ain't always easy either. Oh! I mean, if you know you never had them, you don't feel like you're always wanting to meet them. It's true. I do want to see Daddy so much.
Oh, Iris. Gina, what did you mean when you said that you know Mr. Sholmes is lying to Iris?
Well, he reckons he popped that manuscript or whatever, right? But come on, that's obviously a load of rubbish.
Oh my, why would you think that, Gina?
It's simple. If that story was really in Windibank's storeroom, there's no way someone from halfway around the world, in other words, you, could know about it. Ah. Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he sold it. Without telling you. But Hurley would never do something like that, I'm sure of it. Huh. Grown-ups do a lot worse than that, believe me. Barefaced liars, a lot of them. You just ain't realized it yet.
You just have a very negative view on the world, Gina.
I'm telling you, that manuscript ain't at Windibank's. You'd soon see if you had a look. Even if you think you can trust him, I don't. That Sholmes is a liar like the rest of them. If I'm honest, I have wondered if Hurley's telling me the truth sometimes. Say, oh, but I don't mean that I don't think he sold it. I mean that I sometimes wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him.
Don't be too hard on yourself, Iris. Come on. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Oh my goodness! Look at the time! Come along, Jenny. We should go back downstairs.
Yeah, alright.
And please, don't mention any of this to Hurley, will you?
No, of course not. Good night then, Iris. Good night, Gina.
You must let me make breakfast for you tomorrow morning, I insist. Oh, yes, please. I can't wait, Susie. Good night, then.
Iris, it sure is easy to forget, isn't it? Sometimes she speaks just like an adult, but deep down, she's still just a child.
Well, I think it's time that I turned in for the night too, Naruhodo-san.
Good night. Dr. John H. Wilson, Iris's father, but also the name of the murdered visiting professor at Yume University. It can't be a mere coincidence. There's something deeper going on. Yes, there is. Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo. That voice. That's Mr. Sholmes. What's going on? It's the middle of the night. It's Miss Lestrade. She's gone. Gina? She was supposed to be sleeping in Iris's room, but her bed is empty. Well, she's an independent young woman. She probably decided to go home, no? I think not. From speaking to her before she retired, I received the distinct impression that she was looking forward to breakfasting with Miss Susato. No, I don't believe the girl has gone home, but I've been waiting for over an hour now. Over an hour? Oh. If you'll indulge me, look out of the window, my dear fellow. What's this about? Uh-huh. Oh, the pawnbroker's light is on. Wait a minute. Why is there a light on at this time of night? That's Mr. Windibank's pawnbrokery. And Mr. Windibank's. Oh no.
It's simple. If that store was really an old Windibank storeroom, there's no way someone from halfway around the world, in other words, you, could know about it. Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he sold it. Without telling you.
So did she go to make certain? Could Gina have gone? It seems you have some knowledge of the situation, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? Oh, no, not really. Well, anyway, we must investigate. At once.
Mr. Sato.
Let's do it. We're gonna investigate the fudge out of this. Alright. So remember, Mr. Windibank does change the calendar every day at midnight. The door to Windibank's, it's open.
And the lamp is burning.
It must be Gina, mustn't it? Let us hope it's nothing more sinister. What? Come, there's not a moment to lose. Clearly something is afoot inside. Oh. Wow, yeah, there's blood on that calendar, and it was switched to the next day, I see. There's no one here. Oh yes, there is.
Ah! Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes!
What the? Has Sholmes been shot? Leave me, Mr. Naruhodo. But... after them, go! Right. Blast! I've lost them. Hello. What have we here? The alarm was just raised from this pawnbroker, sir. Would you know something about that? Officer, come with me. It's my friend. Yeah, Mr. Sholmes. He's been shot. Shot! Oh boy. With the policeman close behind me, I ran back to Windibank's.
Mr. Sholmes!
Mr. Naruhodo!
How bad is it? Never mind me, but there's much at stake. Behind that door. In the storeroom. Hurry! It's Gina!
Bruh. Yes. This is super, super interesting, and Gina better not be hurt. I don't really care about Mr. Winnebank, but if anything were to happen to Gina, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself. They're gonna blame Gina for it, aren't they? I'm gonna have to defend her. I'll be alright, Mr. Naruto. After them, go! Behind that door, in the storeroom. Hurry! She has a gun in her hand. Dang it. It's Gina. No, I refuse to believe that she did this. From that moment, Winnebank's pawnbrokery became a crime scene. Everything that followed happened in a whirlwind of activity. The arrival of the police, the preliminary investigation of the scene, and the questioning. It was just before dawn before I was allowed to back out of my lodgings at 221B. Well, thankfully there's some tea on. Whew. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Oh, Iris.
A telegram came, but all it said was, wait at home.
Oh, yes, we asked one of the policemen to have it sent. It was simply impossible to come back.
When I woke up, I was all alone. Hurley and Jenny were gone. Everyone was gone. What happened, Runo?
Poor Iris, she's trembling. She's obviously trying very hard not to let herself get too worried. I'll explain everything that I know.
Something awful has happened, hasn't it?
Yes, I'm afraid so. Oh, boy. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, Iris, but Mr. Winnebank is dead. He was shot. We discovered it in the early hours of the morning.
Oh, yes, I had a feeling.
You did?
Well, I saw all those police carriages pulling up outside his shop. I knew something must have happened there.
When we entered Winnebank's in the small hours, we disturbed a gang of 2 thugs. They ran out onto the street and I chased after them, but they got away.
So, it was one of them who shot old Mr. Winnebank, I suppose.
I don't know, but that's not what the police believe at the moment.
Oh, why not?
They've arrested someone else as their prime suspect, you see. Gina.
Jenny, but why?
Well, the thing is...
No, Jenny wouldn't do something like that.
I know. None of us think she did it.
Then why have they arrested her?
I'm sorry, there was nothing I could do. Oh boy. I mean, yeah, let's get right into Gina's arrest.
I don't understand why they arrested Jenny. It's not fair. What about the other 2 thugs that were at the scene? Why aren't they the prime suspects? After all, they shot Hurley dead, didn't they?
No, I mean, Mr. Sholmes isn't dead, Iris.
Ah, this is so horrible.
The thing is, Mr. Winnebank was found on the floor in the storeroom where he keeps all the deposited articles, and the storeroom door was locked from the inside.
I see.
But he wasn't alone in there. Gina was found next to him on the floor as well.
Oh no!
And according to the detectives who investigated afterwards...
Don't tell me. There was no one else in the room?
Yes, exactly. How did you know?
It's the only explanation.
Yes, the only explanation indeed.
What do you mean by that, Runo? Well?
What can I say? I'm damned if I agree, damned if I don't. Okay, well, here's the thing, right? That door has the little flap, and you can just use that to shoot through. But also, was that flap there last time? I don't remember it being there.
So, where's Hurley then? Is he still in there investigating the crime scene? He really ought to have some breakfast. It's not good for him to miss meals.
I don't want you to worry, Iris, but I have some news about Mr. Sholmes. He was taken to a hospital this morning.
What?
Well,
When we entered Windibanks, a gun was fired and he took a bullet.
Hurley was shot? No, no.
It's all right. His life isn't in danger.
Really? Are you sure? Where is he? Which hospital?
He's at St. Sinners, or Sinners, I don't know how to say that. They're tending to him there.
I must see him at once.
I'm sorry, Iris, but you can't.
Why not? That's not fair. I'm a family member. I should be allowed.
No, I mean, nobody can see him at the moment. He's not allowed any visitors. They're preparing to operate, you see.
To operate? Oh, the poor Hurley.
Oh, injured Sholmes, yeah. It was the two thugs who were in Mr. Windibank's shop. They shot Mr. Sholmes when we disturbed him, you see. It was pitch black inside the shop at the time. My mind went totally blank, I'm afraid. I just froze. After them! Go! After that, I ran out into the street, but, well, they were long gone. I shouldn't have hesitated. I'm so sorry. It's my fault. I let them get away.
I think that's a very good thing.
Sorry?
Well, if you'd seen which way they went and chased after them, you might have been shot as well, Bruno.
Yeah, very possible.
On top of everything else, I couldn't bear that.
Oh, Iris. Yeah.
Where's Susie, Bruno?
She's still at the police station.
Oh, why?
I expect she's still being questioned. The police said they wouldn't be finished for a while.
Why aren't you there then?
Well, I didn't get a good look at the criminals anyway, so they weren't questioning me for long. And Mr. Sato stayed behind at the scene to tend to Mr. Sholmes, so they didn't get started until later.
Ah, I see.
Besides, one of us had to come back to be with Iris. I'm glad Inspector Gregson agreed to me leaving early.
You should have let me know and I would have come to the station.
Well, I didn't. I'm afraid I'll need to go out again now, Iris. There's not much I can do at the moment, but I can at least try to find out how Mr. Sholmes and Gina are getting on.
I want to go too. Take me with you, Bruno. I can't stand just sitting around here waiting.
I'm not sure how I feel about taking a 10-year-old child to the scene of a murder, but I don't want to leave her all alone here either. All right then, Iris. Perhaps you can help me.
Oh yes, I'd love to.
Gina's at the prison. Mr. Sholmes is probably in his hospital bed.
And don't forget we have to visit the crime scene. We need to conduct a thorough investigation.
Ah, I can see you're ready for action. I imagine Iris would appreciate going to the hospital sooner rather than later. But we can't see Mr. Sholmes. Huh. Okay, I mean, the game said we should probably go to the hospital, so let's do it. Even though I know we can't actually see Mr. Sholmes.
Hurley! Oh!
He's not here! No, that's strange. The nurse definitely said he was in the bed by the window, didn't she?
Oh, I know what's probably happened. Hurley was being a big baby, and the bullet wound wasn't that bad after all, so he's been sent home.
I'm not so sure about that. Baby or not, there's no question that it was a fairly serious injury that Mr. Sholmes suffered. Ugh.
Oh.
Hello, what have we here? This water's off limits, no visiting. What are you doing in here, eh?
Well, I'll have you know, we're Hurley's next of kin.
Oh, well, be begging your pardon then, ma'am, sir. A little lady and a curious Eastern gentleman. The great mystery solver as a mysterious family, eh? If that's how you see us, sure.
Where is he, Constable? Where's Hurley?
I believe he's currently in the operating theatre, ma'am, undergoing an extensive operation.
Extensive?
It has been several hours since we went in. Dang, okay.
Oh dear, is he going to be alright?
Well, it doesn't appear to be working, you see. The anesthetic, that is.
Oh.
I have heard a report that the gentleman claims he may have had a little too much to drink last night. Coffee, that is. Coffee doesn't undo anesthetic. Anyway, I think it'd be fair to assume that he won't be back here for several hours yet. I see. Thank you, Constable. Perhaps we should leave and come back later.
Oh, poor Hurley.
Alright, let's get on out of here. Yeah.
I didn't do nothing.
Is that gonna be like your first line? Oh, this is the same prison cell that, Soseki-san was in. Oh, they let her keep her bag, huh? Hello, Gina. And they let you keep the smoke grenade launcher, too?
Oh, you still have the grenade launcher Hurley and I made.
I wish she wouldn't point it at me all the time, though.
What are you here for? Jenny.
I have a feeling it's because of that, because of us that you've ended up in trouble. So we were thinking that we might be able to help you.
Well, you can't.
Sorry?
You heard. Get lost. Don't be like that, Jenny. I know you didn't do it. You'd never shoot someone. I just know you wouldn't.
You think you know me? Pull the other one.
Oh,
You ain't got the first idea about the likes of me. I'm a thief. I pinch people's purses when they're walking down the street. That's how I get by. And if I saw me chance, I'd sneak into a pawn shop any day of the week. Let's just see what I could lay my hands on. Get it? That's the kind of person I am. But Jenny, I'll be in court tomorrow, they said. Some cove came by before and said he'd be a lawyer for me or the like. Said it was my right or something. But I told him to get stuffed. I don't need no lawyer. I don't need no one. She couldn't be staring at me any more obviously if she tried.
Why are you being like this, Jenny?
Well, I'm gonna be your lawyer, whether you freaking like it or not, so... I don't understand, Gina. Why did you send the public defender away?
They wanted me to sign some papers, representation papers or something like that. It's all gonna be rigged anyway, the whole trial. They'll pin it on me because I'm a kid. That's what grown-ups always do. Why do you think that? Because that's how it's always been for me, growing up in the back slums, my whole life. If you do what the grown-ups tell you, it'll get your mates dragged off by the coppers, or worse. I've had it happen to me before and all. Been sold out and nearly snaffled all in the back of it. You can't trust no one, that's the point. As soon as you do, you go into grass, dead.
Gina, listen. If you like, in tomorrow's trial, I could...
Forget it! Jenny, don't you trust Runo?
No, I don't.
Look, I'll ask you nicely now. Just leave me alone.
No. No. Definitely not, I would say. Will you tell us what happened, Gina? Last night at the pawnbroker's.
There's nothing to tell. I figured it'd pay me, so I broke into the place and started going through the storeroom. But the old bloke walked in on me and you know the rest. But why, Jenny? Why would you do that? Ain't it obvious? The place is full of stuff I could sell for a shilling or two. Diving ain't easy, you know? It's a lot of hard work, and half the time you don't even get nothing.
Is that really why you broke into the place?
What?
Are you sure the true reason wasn't something else?
Oh, give it a rest! What'd be the point anyway, eh? Nothing I could say could make a blind bit of difference. Please tell us, Jenny. We'll believe you, whatever it is. Believe me, don't be daft. You can't believe nothing. Everyone lies all the time. And you know what? When it comes to liars, I'm the biggest of the lot. I've told some unforgivable lies, I have. What do you mean by that? What unforgivable lies?
It's not going to be anything that serious, right? What did you mean before, Gina, when you said you were the biggest liar of the lot? Why don't you tell us what these unforgivable lies you've told are? Maybe we can help.
Sorry. We're out of time. They're gonna want to question me now. Jenny, please. Oh yeah. I wanted to give you this. Something to remember me by.
Is a kitty. Next to a snowman. A photographic print of a really adorable cat.
I found it in one of the pockets of this coat. Ain't no point in me having it. I wonder what a little photograph like that was doing in a pocket of that overcoat.
Also, didn't Windibanks go through the pockets and say that there was nothing? Whatever.
Anyway, don't bother me again. Bye. Oh, Jenny.
Alright. I don't know how that's going to be useful. The only other cat that I know of is Waggy. And Waggy's got a bunch of different spots on him, you know? Well, let's get to the scene of the crime. Obviously, that's the next place to get going. Oh yeah, the Bobby's here. Cool. Oh, I don't even get a time for this. Oh wow, they actually animated that Bobby walking around.
This is where it happened then, last night.
That's right. The two thugs I told you about were obviously ransacking the place looking for valuables.
But apart from the policeman in here, you wouldn't know anything had happened. There's no sign of a disturbance.
Okay, well, incorrect on 2 accounts, and I'll show you them.
In fact, if anyone, it's the police who seem to be the ones doing the ransacking.
I know what you mean. They're like a gang of organized criminals, all dressed in black. Oh, I heard that. Oh, it's you. Oh, Inspector. Good morning. Huh, I suppose I ought to thank you for your vigilance last night. We got to the scene before it was disturbed, at least. Shame you let the 2 rogues get away, mind. Yes, I'm sorry about that.
I thought you'd assigned extra men to the beat around here, Gregsy. Now look what's happened. Hurley's been injured because there weren't enough police on duty.
Ah, your ladyship. No one told me you were coming.
I expect you to take full responsibility for what happened to Hurley and see he has the very best medical care.
Of course, your ladyship. The very best doctors in the capital attending to him as we speak.
And I don't think it's Runo's fault that the rogues managed to get away, is it? Chasing criminals is the police's job.
Absolutely, your ladyship. As you say, Mum, as you say. Why is he simping for a 10-year-old? The gent in black is totally blameless. Everyone's in agreement about that. Would you believe it? He's like a completely different person with Iris. Talk about a personality change. Oh, well, me manners. Are you thirsty, your ladyship? Perhaps you'd like some juice? Some nice, refreshing fruit juice?
Oh, why? Are you thirsty, Gregsy? I have some of my special herbal tea with me, if you'd like some.
Ah, lovely. Not very much. That really hit the spot, your ladyship. I don't even recognize him like this. I've never seen a man simp hard for a 10-year-old in my life. So, how is the investigation going, Inspector? Nothing to it, really. Very simple case, this. There's some very distinctive evidence. We're just about to charge that diver we arrested last night, in fact. Gina, you're going to charge her? That's right. Should be able to bring her before the judge at Bailey tomorrow.
Definitive evidence, you say? What is it? Come on, show me.
Your ladyship, as much as I wish I could oblige you, I'm afraid.
Ah, I see. You've already captured the pair of thugs who broke in here last night, have you? What the... And you're going to put them on the stand as witnesses, are you?
How could you... Ow! How could you possibly know that?
I had a feeling, that's all.
Remind me never to try to keep a secret from Iris. So, you've arrested the 2 men who shot Mr. Sholmes, have you? Well, yes. They were rounded up pretty quickly by the lads on the beat. Oh, good. I'm glad that they actually did their job pretty well. And Miss Lestrade is being held at the prison. She should be. That's assuming she hasn't lifted the key from the jail, of course. But if you have the crooks, then, I mean, that's them. Can you tell us anything about Mr. Sholmes? What's his condition? Sorry, I'm not at liberty to divulge that information. Scotland Yard matters are strictly confidential.
Well, I know he's being operated on at St. Sinners. Why can't I see him? I'm family, you know.
I'm terribly sorry, your ladyship. It's the hospital's policy, no visiting at all.
Oh.
The bullet must have hit an artery in his midriff. He's lost a fair bit of blood.
Oh no.
He didn't seem too bad in the first hour or so, but a hemorrhage like that is enough to make even the one and only Sholmes pipe down. Mr. Sholmes is a human like the rest of us, you know. Well, anyway, he's having emergency surgery right now. They've got to stop that bleeding.
But he will be all right, won't he? They'll be able to make him better?
Of course, your ladyship. He'll be right as rain before you know it.
Really? How do you know?
How do I know? Because of course. Ah, yes, because Mr. Sholmes is such a great detective, that's why. We'd better pray the doctors have a better grasp of what's needed to make someone well again.
Oh dear, please don't die, Hurley.
I'll report to your ladyship the moment I hear he's out of the operating theatre. Thank you, sir. I couldn't help noticing, Inspector. Well, out with it, Sunshine. Well, there seems to be a marked difference between the way you talk to me and Iris. Watch the sauce, Sonny. I'm a copper, and we don't go in for favoritism. Yes, you do.
But he's right, you do treat us differently.
It's because of those Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes stories, that's why. Oh, I crop up in them, don't I? Inspector Tobias Gregson.
Oh, well, yes, because you're an acquaintance of Hurley's.
What did you write about the Inspector, Iris?
I don't remember, really.
It was one of Sholmes' lines. Gregson is the smartest of the Scotland Yarders, is how he put it.
Oh, did I write that?
And you know what that one line did for me, eh? The very next month, my pay doubled. Doubled, I tell you. Oh, I thought you were complaining about being in the stories, but now you're saying that it caused your pay to double, so do you like it or not? Oh, that's amazing. Well, because everyone at the Yard reads them. They read all the Sherlock Sholmes stories. They've even set up a fan club for me.
Of course. That explains everything. It was around that time that you became such a toady to me.
Can you blame me? All it'd take is one bad word from you and Sholmes could change his tune about me. Gregson, no. The great detective will say, he's getting quite overrated these days. Think what would happen to my salary if that came out in print, huh? The whole thing gives me the willies. I can't tell you how many nights of sleep I've lost to worrying about it.
But that would never happen, Grexy.
Every month when the new Rance magazine comes out, my hands are trembling as I turn the pages.
Oh, how awful for you. Here, have some of my tea to settle your nerves.
Gluck, 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 gluck. Ah, lovely. To very much. I really hit the spot, your ladyship. Teetotal. Oh yeah, there's something I was supposed to talk to you about actually, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? What is it? I've got an important message for you. I clean forgot about it until now. An important message? I wonder what it could be. Let's do it. Are you going to tell me what this important message is then, Inspector? Yeah, it's about that young lady who's normally by his side, your assistant.
Dear Susie, is she alright?
She's at the station, isn't she? Being questioned, I believe. Nope, not anymore. She had to head off. Head off? Where? To Lord Stormhorn's office, of course. He summoned her. Oh, right. Of course. I'd forgotten all about that. One of the Woodstocks took her there in a yard carriage after we'd finished questioning her. But she asked us to tell you she didn't have the fare for the return journey and to go and meet her there. She's got her nerve using Scotland Yard as a bloomin' messaging service. I see. Well, thank you for passing that on, Inspector.
Why did Susie have to go see the Lord Chief Justice?
She didn't tell me. But I'd better head over to the Lord Chief Justice office to fetch her straight away. Alright, let's go do it, I guess. I bet you the Lord Chief Justice is gonna have some bull crap to say to me, huh? And I guess I'm bringing Iris with me, right? Yeah, I mean, what would I do? Just leave her at the pawn shop? Which I guess is next to her house, so it's really not that big of a deal. Yes. No matter how many times I come here, I always get the same sense of oppressiveness somehow. I mean, it's a grand office.
Do you think this place is oppressive? I think it's normal.
How so?
I mean, look at that suit of armor over there. You can't take that seriously, can you?
maybe it thinks the same about you. So everything is clear with regard to tomorrow's arrangements, I trust?
Yes, thank you very much.
There they are, Susato-san and Lord Strongheart.
I wonder what they're talking about. Both look very serious.
Very good. There's nothing further to discuss. You may return to your lodgings. No doubt you have much to do in preparation for your return to your homeland. Wait, we're being sent home? What did he just say? Your return to your homeland? Susato-san!
Oh, Mr. Naruhodo.
What was that all about? Ah, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you for coming to collect your colleague. What's this all about? Why were you talking about Miss Susato's return to her homeland? And tomorrow?
Tomorrow? But what about Jenny's trial? You mean... she's been formally charged now? Oh dear.
Oh god. Miss Susato, what's this all about?
Oh, please don't concern yourself, Mr. Naruhodo. It's only me going back to Japan.
Well, I'm still upset about that. Your life here... That's not what I asked. What happened? Why are you leaving?
It's my father. He's fallen ill. Oh no!
Professor Mikotoba? If I may. Yes, sorry? You must be the defendant. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I believe. Yes, that's right. My name is Yujin Mikotoba. I'm a professor of forensic medicine at Yume University. We received an international telegram from the Empire of Japan informing us of the news.
10 days ago, Father collapsed with a fever. The cause is apparently unknown, and it seems he grows weaker by the day.
So, it's really easy, actually. All you have to do is gather a few friends, take a trip to Egypt, and kill Dio. And then he'll feel totally better immediately. I would know. I've watched JoJo's. I don't believe it. As you are aware, the voyage from here to your country's capital, Tokyo, takes some 50 days. I thought it would be prudent to hasten Miss Susato's departure as much as possible. Yes, absolutely. Like, the sickness will be over and done with by the time you return, right?
I will leave London first thing tomorrow morning.
I can't believe this is happening. So Iris is going to be my new judicial assistant now? Can well, maybe I shouldn't even bring her, I don't know.
So Gina has been charged? She'll have to appear in court?
Yes, she was formally charged a few hours ago, and the date of the trial has already been set for tomorrow.
No, not even 24 hours later?
Gina, the Lestrade girl in the murder of the Baker Street pawnbroker, yes. An all too conspicuous case. The pickpocket was clearly disturbed mid-robbery and shot the man in a panic. No, the yard is overstretched as it is, without wasting time on these open and shut cases.
It's not wasting time. Jenny would never do something like that.
I need to work on my lolly voice. I'll find some opportunity to do that eventually, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes, Lord Strongheart? In deference of your fine services to date, I shall overlook this young girl's insolence, but I have no recollection of admitting a child into my office. Leave, now.
Of course, Lord Strongheart.
Criminals will tell the most palpable lies in order to evade justice. The police can ill afford the time it takes to unravel all their untruths. Meanwhile, more crimes are perpetrated. We have far more serious matters with which to contend. Serious matters? Didn't Gregson mention something like that yesterday?
Yes. Inspector Gregson made a similar remark yesterday.
It's no concern of yours, though I'm sure I need not remind you of that. Alright. 3 minutes precisely until my next meeting. You must excuse me. You're very, time-honored, aren't you? There's just one more thing, Lord Strongheart, which is... It's Miss Lestrade's trial. I wonder if you might permit me to defend her. A timely suggestion. Sorry? The girl currently has no representation. Well, yeah, I remember that.
But that's not fair. Yes, she may be a pickpocket, but she still deserves a fair trial.
Do not misunderstand me, young lady. The government provides for those too poor to afford representation with a public defender. The accused need only sign the relevant paperwork, and a defense barrister will be assigned to the case. However, the young girl in question has refused that right. This guy's cane doesn't have the ferrule at the end either. I'm just noticing that. I don't know if that matters at all. But why would she do that? A question you would do well to direct at Miss Lestrade. You'll find her at the local prison. Yes, thank you. I guess I did this in the wrong order. Now then, it's time I was leaving. Good day to you. Because I already visited Miss Lestrade, but they're making it act as if I should have gone to the hospital, the crime scene, and then here, and then to the prison. Gina charged with murder. Susato-san about to leave. It's not a good day for Ryunosuke.
Come, Mr. Naruhodo. Iris, we must make haste. But, Susie... You're leaving for Japan tomorrow morning, aren't you? Don't you have packing and things to do? As Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, my personal circumstances are of no consequence. My sole purpose remains to help you in whatever way I can.
Thank you, Miss Susato, although I really wish you'd care about your own things every so often. It's a very pensive look.
I think we ought to visit Gina first. In any case, I should like to wish her well before I leave. Yes, that sounds like a good idea. Let's go!
If I'm honest, this has completely thrown me off. I'll just have to do what I can as a lawyer. Oh boy, yeah, shoot. Back to the prison we go. Whew.
Ah!
Hello again, Gina.
What are you lauding for now?
To have the muzzle of that grenade launcher shoved to my face yet again, obviously.
I think I need to improve the way you load ammunition into that thing, don't I? Look! You can come as many times as you like, but I ain't got nothing more to say to you.
Is that so? Are you positive?
Gina, I wonder if you might hear me out. There's something I'd like to say. What? I'm sorry to say that I must reluctantly bid you farewell. Eh? Farewell? Tomorrow, I must begin my journey back home, to Japan. I fear we may never meet again. Oh, right. I've had the pleasure of meeting so many lovely people here in London. I have so many wonderful memories. And yet, as things stand now, it will be a glum parting indeed. Poor Iris is so miserable. Susie. Well, that ain't my business. Both Iris and Mr. Naruhodo believe you to be innocent, Gina. They've put their faith in you, but somehow, you can't find it in your heart to put your faith in them. Yeah, that's right, I can't. What of it? It grieves me greatly to have to say goodbye to my friends when they are so clearly unhappy. Because of you. What? It's my fault? Yes, so I have one final request, Gina, before our paths never cross again. Right here and now, I want you to show both of them that you don't deserve the faith they've invested in you. Huh? Only by doing that will you truly be as alone as you claim to be. What are you talking about? What do you expect me to do, huh? You've told us that everyone lies. So prove it by admitting one of your own untruths. What about what you said before, Ginny? You've said something about unforgivable lies. You must tell Mr. Naruhodo and Iris the truth now. That is my last request before I leave. My last request as a judicial assistant. No, I can't.
Whatever these lies are, they're obviously weighing very heavily on Gina's mind. Gina, I could be wrong, but is it something to do with what happened 2 months ago? Something about that trial? The one in which Magnus McGilded was acquitted. The case of that mysterious murder that took place inside the omnibus, you were called as a witness by the prosecution. Is that what this is about? Methinks perhaps yes.
Yeah, you're right. Because in that trial, I lied. I lied like you wouldn't believe.
Will you tell us about it now? Please.
Like you said, it all happened 2 months ago. The coppers got hold of me and shoved me in the witness stand.
And based on your testimony, Mr. McGilded was declared innocent.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I lied about a whole bunch of stuff.
I knew it.
What sort of things did you lie about? I was hiding under the seat that night. That was the truth. It was pitch black in that little cubbyhole. I couldn't see a thing, and then I heard that loud thud, like someone falling on the floor.
And that's when Mr. McGilded discovered you?
Yeah. He pulled me out from under the seat and sat me next to the dead man. There weren't much light to see by, but when I looked at my hands, I had the cove's blood all over him. I was so scared I couldn't even speak.
You had his blood on your hands? In other words, it was Gina that the witnesses saw on the roof deck. Oh, it was Gina that the witnesses on the roof deck saw through the skylight.
Then Mr. McGilded started asking you questions, I suppose. Who you were, and why you were hiding under the seat. Yeah, he did. Only, that's not all.
What do you mean?
I mean, he threatened me.
Threatened you how?
He made me swear about what I'd seen and what I'd heard. And about what he was going to do after the cove was found dead. He made me swear I wouldn't tell no one about any of it. If I did, he said he'd let me scarper before the coppers showed up.
Yep, that makes sense for Magnus McGilded, that crazy weird man. Gina, you must tell me what he swore to you what he swore you to secrecy about. What you saw, what you heard, everything. He's dead, so it doesn't even matter anymore. Oh my god, there's so many things to talk about now. You said McGilded made you swear not to tell anybody what you saw, but you were in the pitch black compartment under the seat the whole time, weren't you?
Yes, with Mr. McGilded sitting above your head, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's true, but it was when I heard the thud of the cove hitting the floor. I let out a little scream, see? Couldn't help it. McGilded heard that and dragged me out by my arm, and that's when he saw it. I was on the floor next to the old geezer what had been stabbed. A disc, all bright and shiny.
Oh, there was a disc there, huh?
A disc?
Do you mean...
Yeah, that's it. The one what the D took off me at Winterbanks.
So the music box disc was there on the floor of the omnibus?
Not for long. McGilded spotted it straight away. He picked it up smartish and stuffed it inside his pocket.
So that disc was in the omnibus 2 months ago at the scene of Mr. Mason's murder.
And the bog rotter told me I want to mutter a word of it to no one.
Wow. Okay, cool.
'Cause it was so dark under the seat in that cab, I was straining my ears the whole time. After a while, I heard the door and footsteps inside the cabin.
Presumably that was McGilded getting on board.
Nah, not only him. Oh, because I could definitely make out the footsteps of 2 people. In that case, it would seem likely that it was Mr. McGilded and the victim.
Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason.
In his testimony during the trial, Mr. McGilded claimed he slept during the carriage ride.
Yes, he did. I remember that.
But whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness and I always succumb to it. And your own testimony, Gina, supported his. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring.
Ugh.
Yeah, that wasn't exactly true. Neither of them was asleep. I could hear them talking the whole time in low voices.
What? What were they talking about?
Sorry, I don't know. The sound of the horses and the wheels was too loud. But that still tells us something. Mr. McGilded and the victim knew each other.
I mean, I thought we already knew that. Because the Mason was deaded to Mr. McGilded, if I remember correctly. So McGilded was lying, as I suspected.
I knew it wasn't going to take long before someone raised the alarm and that bloke had been killed. Yes, you were quite right. The other passengers on the roof deck noticed very quickly. So when the cab came to a stop, McGilded told me to hide back under the seat again. I climbed in and waited. The two coves from up top ran to get off the coppers.
Yes, Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First.
Right, and after they'd gone, McGilded asked the driver to do him a favour.
A favor? Now then, fella, what I need you to do is take this coat of mine and deposit it with a nearby pawnbroker. And for your troubles, let's see now. Aye, I'll give you 10 guineas. Wow, and he didn't even testify to that. That's interesting. A nearby pawnbroker? You mean on Baker Street?
Yep, you got it. It was Winterbanks. The Couchy snapped up the money and ran off to pop this coat as fast as he could. So then there was no one left in the carriage. McGilden opened the box under the seat and let me get out of there, but not without conditions.
I see. Let's talk about these conditions, yeah? What were McGilded's conditions then? For letting you go free, I mean.
Not telling a soul, not for anything. About what I saw and what I heard. And there was something else as well.
There's more?
Yeah. This is the most important thing, he said.
Oh, we get a little drawing. Cool.
I'm after sending the coachman on a little errand for me, with some small change in his hand. Now then, did you hear what I asked of him? Did you see anything at all? You asked him to go pop your weasel, right? Aye. The fiend's taken me over coat to deposit with a pawnbroker hereabouts, and I want you, lass, to take the redemption ticket for it. Do you understand? What? You want me to have the ticket? That's right, and I'll come fetch it from you later, sometime within the next 2 months. You have to hang on to it until then, is that clear? And whatever you do, don't lose it. All right then. And in case I might happen to be delayed at all, you're to go to the pawn shop, win the bank, so it is, and you're to extend the loan before the 2 months is up. If you forget, the article will be forfeited and sold to any fiend who could come along and buy it. Yeah, but I ain't got that kind of brass. Here's £5. That should be enough. Do we understand each other, lass? Don't try anything funny now. If you go against me. Yeah, I'll get it. Good. And one more thing. In a few days from now, you'll be visited by the police, I've no doubt. The coppers? Aye. They'll come asking you to take the stand in court, to testify as a witness. So let's just have a wee chat about that, shall we? What is it that you might say, and what is it that you won't?
Yep, that sounds about right for McGilded. That cane of his looks pretty opulent.
After he'd gone over it all, I parked it, got as far away from there as I could. He hid the pawnbroker's ticket in some bushes near the scene. I went to fetch it the next day once it got dark.
So McGilded planted it and coerced Gina into giving false testimony. Okay, I mean, that all makes sense.
I bet you're ready to string me up, eh? I lied in that big old courtroom. I told some corkers. The thing is, he said he would make it so we couldn't live in the East End no more. That's what he threatened me with. What a wicked man. He knew everything what went on the back slums. He knew we had no one to look after us, and we was all just looking out for each other, getting by together. So you mean Mr. McGilded would have... In an heartbeat. He would have had a lot of us chased out of there if he wanted. And then where would he have gone, eh? Nowhere, that's where. So I didn't have no choice.
Thank you, Gina, for telling us everything.
But I'm for it now, eh? Go on, admit it. You must be livid.
Well, you can make amends by doing me a simple favor.
Favor? What?
Sign the representation papers for tomorrow's trial.
Eh?
If you don't actually want me to represent you in court, you can rip it up later. But we need that paperwork or we can't investigate. The police won't let us.
Investigate what?
The scene of the incident last night. Mr. Shones was shot, you see.
You what? Hurley's having a big operation right now, Jenny. Is it bad? Is it gonna be alright? Shones is gonna be alright, right?
Hopefully. That's why I want to investigate, for Sholmes' sake as much as anything. Come on.
Right. So what you're saying is, if I sign that bit of paper, everyone's happy, is that it?
Something like that. Miss Susato?
Yes, of course. I have the representation papers here.
Oh, I would expect nothing less from my best judicial assistant.
I don't know no one to stick up for me, though. No lawyer or nothing. Poor Ginny. She seems so lonely.
Jenna's representation papers have been added to the court record. Well, at least this should mean we can investigate the scene at Winnipegs now.
Yes, and perhaps we can come back to visit Ginny when we're done there.
I feel like we finally cracked Gina. She's opened up to us at last, and now I have her representation papers, so no one else knows just what happened. Anyway, for now it means Inspector Gregson can't stop us investigating at Winnipegs. Although, something tells me he's not going to be happy about it. To be continued. Alright, that's about as good of a place to stop as I'll have for today. But hopefully I can continue this tomorrow morning. I would like to, anyway. I just have a couple of side jobs that I need to work on, so we'll see how far I get on those. But hopefully I'll be able to see everyone again tomorrow. Until then, guys, remember to eat, have a good time, be nice to each other,